Our outcomes have either been flat or worsened. To give a sense, about 40% of our fourth graders cannot read today, and most experts say literacy needs to be achieved by third grade to go forward in life and education. The vast majority of education funding does not come from the federal government. About 90% comes from states and localities. The few functions the department could engage in that are critical, like civil rights and assessments, can easily be handled elsewhere and should be. Ending the Department of Education as it is ending the madness and finally heeding the long-ignored calls for common sense.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with QuickDelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
For over 23 years, Applied Mechanical Sales has offered boilers, water heaters, and exhaust venting to commercial mechanical contractors. They aid in the selection of standard and high-efficiency hydronic system equipment for replacement or new construction. From schools to churches to high-rises and hotels, Applied Mechanical provides high-quality, cost-effective Camus boilers and water heaters in many of Chicago's most iconic buildings. Mechanical design firms trust Applied Mechanical to support them by specifying the size and type of boilers to best match a building's load profile for the worst of Chicago weather conditions. Engineers and contractors can be confident that they'll experience trouble-free operation for the next 15 to 20 years. Applied Mechanical Sales ensures their boilers are properly installed and operate at peak efficiency long after the initial startup. Go to AppliedMechanicalSales.com to schedule a site visit and boiler replacement assessment. That's AppliedMechanicalSales.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, they got him. As anticipated, federal government securing a conviction of the Illinois electorate and also former House Speaker Mike Madigan, the longest-serving House Speaker in the history, State House Speaker in the history of America, thanks to the Illinois electorate, particularly in Chicagoland. So do you feel vindicated? Do you feel like you've gotten the reckoning you deserve? Do you believe now that we've entered into an era of good government in Illinois? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. We spent the better part of 30 years, Republicans, some Democrats, vilifying Mike Madigan. He was the boogeyman. He was the thing that went bump in the night. He was the all-powerful, the omnipotent, the omnipresent, and he is what needed to go, and then things could get back to some semblance of order. Well, he went, and how we doing?
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that very same line. Well, he wasn't having any of it when he walked out of the courtroom yesterday. He this is all he said.
How are you? I'm doing very well. You're the one we're concerned about.
So he said to a reporter, because she's asked him how he's doing, after the guilty verdict. And he's like, well, how are you doing? You're the one we're concerned about, in case you just missed it. He doesn't seem like he's humbled at all by the verdict, if you know what I mean.
I wanted to go get an apple. I got it. So I'm less interested in what Mike Madigan thinks and more interested in what you think about this 10-count conviction the jury returned, hanging on another 17 counts, the kitchen sink approach to the justice system that the federal government routinely uses, well, really, prosecutors at every level. Here's Ron Safer. He's a former federal prosecutor. Here's what he had to say.
He was arguably the most powerful man in Illinois politics. The message should get out. If you can get Mike Madigan, you can get anybody.
Is that what the message is?
Are politicians going to stop doing? Yeah, I mean, are they going to stop doing what they're doing now because Mike Madigan was found guilty?
Yeah, I know. Oh, that's the question. What's your answer?
No, of course not. They're not going to do anything different. And the the jury foreman, he talked about it with Channel 7.
I would have loved to have come to a unanimous decision on all 29 counts. We weren't able to do that. I think that we allowed the instructions that were given to us to lead the way, and that's absolutely what we followed. Not necessarily a supporter. I knew of him. I knew of him to be a good person. But I also know that good people sometimes break the law. Unfortunately, in this case, and I don't feel good about it, but sometimes when people break the law, they need to be held accountable.
So that jury forehuman, everything he knew about Mike Madigan coming into the trial led him to believe that Mike Madigan was a good person. Boy, I don't know if that's not a commentary on Illinois. I'm not sure what is. I've long suggested, and maybe now is the time to revisit it, that we change our state bird.
To what?
Well, do you know what a state bird is?
I have no idea what our
before you start tearing things down, maybe you should know what you're tearing down.
Do
you know what our Illinois? Do you know what this? You know what the state amphibian is?
No.
Well, you should. It's the eastern tiger salamander. People know this? Yeah, the Illinois state bird is the northern cardinal. I have long suggested that the Illinois state bird be the ostrich, and that jury forehuman is the reason why. The I-Team. The I-Team over at ABC. Chuck Gowdy and the gang.
Real quick, though, Chuck Gowdy left. He's at Channel 5 now.
Oh, he is?
Uh-huh.
It doesn't matter. He's always there in spirit.
Okay.
And not to mention, it's just one big gaggle, like the actual brand on ABC, NBC, CBS matters. But the I-Team, they did some digging, and they came to this conclusion about Illinois and political corruption. Did some digging, did some good old-fashioned investigative journalism.
Illinois is ranked as one of the most politically corrupt states in the nation, according to data obtained by the ABC7 I-Team. Since Chicago's first corruption trial in 1869, thousands of government and business officials have been convicted of public profiteering.
Breathlessly reporting, we were able to acquire some publicly available data on politicians who've been convicted of crimes, and we're here to summarize it and regurgitate it to you. Thank you, I-Team. Juliet Sorensen is a law professor at Loyola University. All these sort of cardboard cutout human beings, the I-Team and the rest of them run to for their pro forma quotes of hand-wringing about corruption. Well, you know what we need? We need a strong ethics ordinance. How that fit you? How would that fit you, political class? Let's pass another ethics ordinance. It reminds me of when Kirk Dillard, when I was running for governor in 2010, and Kirk Dillard, I don't know if you know, he was Jim Edgar's chief of staff. Kirk Dillard, swamp creature, Illinois swamp version, touting on the campaign trail and in our forums and debates the landmark ethics legislation that he co-authored during his time in the Illinois State Senate. DOGE. And the simple question was, we're running in 2010. This was just after Blagojevich got sent up the river. Oh, your landmark ethics legislation there, Kirk? Well, how did that end up working out? It's a punchline. And yet we continue to repeat the same punchlines because they make us feel better about ourselves.
This is a highly significant case in Illinois anti-corruption efforts and indeed in our state's history. If the people of Illinois are looking for a path forward in terms of anti-corruption reform and good government, I would say they should speak to their legislators about a meaningful ethics reform bill. That will be a preventive and proactive
Oh, you're
approach.
so cute. That little law professor lawyer. Isn't she darling?
Adorable.
Just like the forehuman. I knew him to be a good person. Yeah, you know what you should do? Why don't you give us the Schoolhouse Rock, how a bill becomes a law while you're at it? The naivete is astounding. Never stops. Ed on the north side.
Yeah, I just want to say that it's a joke, the prison sentences they give these politicians. Okay, Madigan will not get more than 2 years. He was convicted of less crimes than Eddie Burke, and he's older. The most he'll get is what Eddie Burke got, 2 years. Do you disagree?
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. And it doesn't even matter. When we get politicians, or the feds do, after all the damage has been done, you get Burke and Madigan when they're octogenarians after they've been drummed out of office over the indictments, and then you fleece them for some of their campaign cash and whatever other monies have been squirreled away through their pay-to-play at minimum conduct. And then you come down at them in their 80s and you put this on their permanent record, and maybe they have to go away for, as you say, 12 to 24 months. And then that's that. And by the time you get to them, everybody's lost interest. Everybody's completely lost the narrative, as so exemplified in some of the clips you've just heard. Greg in Rogers Park.
Hi, good morning. No, nothing's changed. The name's changed, but the way they work is still scummy. They're corrupt. They overspend. They steal public money and everything. Welch is just as bad as Madigan, except his name is different. You got that idiot Harmon or whatever his name is, and Pipewinkle and Brandon Johnson and all of them. Until we flush out the system someday, like they've done a little bit in Washington, D.C., nothing's ever going to change Illinois. We're going to be rotten to the core, in my humble opinion.
Thanks for the call. And not only is he just as bad, Welch, when did you stop beating your girlfriend? That communist from Oak Park, Don Harmon, looking for somebody to play golf with him at Oak Park Country Club. Other than that scumbag trial lawyer there, that's about the only one who'll play with him. Finances, I might as well play golf with him. As I said, what as I said would happen, happened. You replace machine politicians like Cullerton and Madigan with dyed-in-the-wool cultural Marxists, or those that play that role like Welch for the purposes of advancement. So from a governance perspective, it has gotten worse. It got worse in the city of Chicago, it got worse in the General Assembly, it got worse in the governor's mansion. Just when you think Illinois can't find a new bottom, that they take that as a challenge, this electorate, the majority of it. Eddie in Des Plaines.
Hey, Dan. I was there like 3 years ago when you ripped the Northwest Republicans a new one at the at the picnic, and you told them basically how it is. Nothing's changing until you change it. And I don't know. I wish I had more to say at 5 o'clock in the morning or whatever it is.
Well, we appreciate you chiming in this early. Yes, thank you, Eddie. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's the way. But all these people, this was their big idea. All these surrender Republicans forever and ever. You saw it. You got the mail pieces. You saw the TV spots. Just tie everything to Mike Madigan. Mike Madigan. We're going to define ourselves in the negative. We're not Mike Madigan. That was the big value proposition from the establishment GOP for at least the last 25 years. And how did that go? And now that he's gone, where are they all? Oh, well, they're out of office. They're formally working for the other side now. Wonderful.
Great text message, John from Wakanda. Dan and Amy, so instead of the daily Madigan Burke machine, we now have the Pritzker, Preckwinkle, and Johnson machine.
Yeah, it's not that. It's a different sort of machine. It's not a machine. It's a there's a ruling junta, but it's different than it was under, Daley, Madigan, Burke, etc. Mark, Southside.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I believe that Pritzker, Durbin, and Duckworth are the ones that brought Madigan down. And the reason I'm going to say that is because Duckworth. John Lausch is the one who indicted Madigan. He was an appointee by President Trump in 2017. And Durbin and is it Duckworth?
Yeah.
They petitioned the Biden White House to keep him on that case. I don't know if you were aware of that.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, why would they have done that? Why would they have done that? Because at the time that they petitioned the Biden White House, he was being investigated by Lausch.
Yeah, but the die was already cast. All they were doing was covering their asses and separating themselves from what was to come, because it was obvious what was to come once the investigation started into Burke, once the investigation started into Madigan, once it was widely known that you got, bottom feeders like Solis wired up. And so you knew what was going to happen. I mean, none of what has transpired over the last 3 or 4 years with Madigan and Burke is a surprise to anybody, particularly people that are human weather vanes like Durbin and Duckworth. They didn't take him down. They were just covering their backsides. Thanks for the call, Mark. Lewis, Southside.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. There's a saying: keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer.
I've heard that one.
Okay, Michael Madigan. His mob ain't going nowhere. They still there. So what Donald Trump ought to do? Pardon him. Pardon him to let everybody know what he thinks of their justice system with those judges out there that's going against him with all those cases. Pardon him.
Thanks for the call, Lewis. I got it. Pardon him. Madigan knows what the formula is. Compliment Trump's tariffs. Announce your support for mass deportations and an end to sanctuary jurisdictions.
There you go.
And you're going to be in line for a pardon. I mean, just follow the Blago playbook. Coming up at 5:38. We'll take a few more of your calls on this if you still want to discuss Illinois politics and the impact, if it's even discernible, of Madigan's conviction. And then we'll move on to the latest contretemps over DOGE, 5:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom, and here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
5:33, 19 degrees here in Chicago. Hamas says it will release the next group of Israeli hostages as planned. That would pave the way toward resolving a major dispute that threatened the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Fire authorities in Taiwan say a gas explosion at a department store there killed 4 and injured 26. Dozens of injuries being reported as a car drives into a crowd at a union demonstration in Germany.
The German newspaper Bild puts the number of injured at least 15. The vehicle's driver was detained at the scene, but authorities have not yet said whether they're treating the incident as an accident or an attack. It comes as world leaders, including Vice President J.D. Vance and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, are set to take part in the Munich Security Conference tomorrow. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Vice President Vance set to visit the Dachau concentration camp memorial, making the stop at one of the most powerful symbols of World War II on the eve of critical talks with Volodymyr Zelensky. Meantime, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth says Ukraine joining NATO is not realistic, making those comments before the Ukraine Defense Contract Group in Brussels.
The United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement.
President Trump is not saying whether he feels Ukraine and Russia are equal in their efforts to end the war.
It's an interesting question. I think they have to make peace. Their people are being killed, and I think they have to make peace.
Also last night, a federal judge is allowing President Trump's employee buyout plan to continue. Last month, Trump offered money to millions of federal employees to get them to leave their jobs. The Senate confirming Tulsi Gabbard as President Donald Trump's Director of National Intelligence.
So help me God. So help me God. Congratulations.
Gabbard, an unconventional pick to oversee and coordinate the country's 18 different intelligence agencies. GOP Senator Mitch McConnell joining Democrats to oppose her.
A federal jury convicting Michael Madigan on conspiracy and bribery charges following 11 days of jury deliberation.
Michael Madigan, who stood at the very top of Illinois state government, stands convicted of 10 counts of bribery and corruption. Corruption far-reaching in scope.
Acting U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois, Morris Pasquale. The verdicts were handed down after a 4-month trial. IRS Special Acting Agent in Charge Ramsey Covington saying corruption undermines public institutions in this state and elsewhere. No sentencing date has been set for Madigan. Embattled CPS CEO Pedro Martinez is seeking another job. The Tribune reporting Martinez is on a short list of candidates to become superintendent of Nevada's Clark County Public Schools. Bulls have lost 4 straight. This time, another loss to the Pistons, 128-110. College hoops, Illinois State lost to Drake. Valpo took down Belmont. The news, a service of quick delivery service, ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder explains what we're really facing.
Chaos. 12 to 14 million illegal aliens in this country intentionally in the last 4 years. Not vetted. Several on the terror watch list. Those are the ones that got caught. In this business of dreamers, the whole concept of DACA is illegal, in my opinion. They're illegal aliens.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combines heritage and innovation in every cup. Our coffee is locally roasted, hot air roasted, and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Whether you prefer a 12-ounce bag or a 28-ounce bag, or even the convenience of K-Cups, you'll find Papa Nicholas Coffee at your local retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
Attention American homeowners, you're under attack. Your home and equity could be vulnerable to cyber thieves. There's only one company that completely stops them, and that company is Equity Protect. Equity Protect prevents any attempts to steal your home, equity, and ownership 24/7. Get your free risk report today by texting the word HOME to 94878. That's right, text the word HOME to 94878 to get your free risk report. Keep your equity and legacy safe with Equity Protect.
Wow. Are you buying or are you selling? As this is being written, silver is up more than 50% in just the past 8 months. And gold is the highest it's ever been. Whether you are just getting into the metals, want to roll your IRA into silver or gold, or want to take some profits off the table, Fox Valley Coins is ready, willing, and able to help. Even though Fox Valley Coins is a national dealer, they're family-owned and in your own backyard. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville almost always has the product you want in stock and pretty much always has the best pricing when you buy or sell. Buying or selling is easy. Bring your items in. We'll establish the price and pay you cash or check on the spot. Why wait to move your assets around? Did you know that Fox Valley Coins has sold over 3,000 1-ounce silver Donald Trump coins? We have several designs, but they're going fast. Fox Valley Coins on Route 59 in Naperville. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
You said bye-bye to big government. Now it's time to trim the fat from big wireless. Pure Talk gives you the exact same service. They use the same cell towers, the same 5G network. You get better customer service, and you pay half the price for the exact same thing. Get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data with mobile hotspot for just $35 a month. Make the switch. You simply dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, save an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company.
During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places you can't control. Between payroll, your home office, your tax preparer, and the IRS, if your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
540. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of the Home and Garden Show in Tinley Park. Homeowners save time and money when improving your home at the free admission home show this weekend in Tinley Park. All with one easy visit. For details, visit tinleyparkshow.com today, tinleyparkshow.com. Stevenson inbound, jamming up Cicero to Pulaski already. Heavy and slow on I-57, all due to an accident on the outbound side. You've got inbounders taking a look at the outbound accident. It's on the off-ramp to 159. Heavy and slow on 8094 due to an accident. Right lane blocked eastbound between Clay to right before Ripley. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy and colder, plenty of sunshine today. High near 19. Clear to partly cloudy. Very cold overnight. A low of 0. Cloudy and 19 right now. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy talking about Mike Madigan's conviction. Today's events are shocking and disappointing. It represents a new low for conduct by public officials. You know who uttered those words? You know? Mike Madigan, 16 years ago when Blagojevich got picked off. Oh, right. So this is what you get in the wake of what you did get yesterday, what you get for a couple of days. And then everybody will walk away like nothing happened and resume business as usual. But, I mean, I've been on talk radio in Chicago for almost 15 years, 14 years, something like that. I've heard a lot about Mike Madigan. Heard a lot of people complaining, but if only we have to get rid of, and then, so it's finally happened. I don't sense the celebratory mood. Why don't I see people spiking footballs and having Madigan going away parties and so forth? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Today's events are shocking and disappointing. It represents a new low for conduct by public officials. Mike Madigan wagging his finger about Blago 16 years ago, and now the same people wagging their fingers at Blago or wagging their fingers at Madigan. It is all a big fraud. And you, listening, are the pigeons. It's a scam, and you're the pigeons. Illinois isn't broken, it's fixed, as a great man once said.
And that great man was Dan Proft.
He was good. He was good in his prime, and then he sort of faded.
But don't you think it's ironic, though, that Blago has been his sentence commuted, he's been pardoned, he's a free man, and now Madigan faces jail time? And you're right, Madigan might start sucking up to President Trump.
Yeah. It's going to be modest jail time. What does he care at this point? I mean, he does 12, 18 months at Club Fed in Oxford or something like that, and then he goes to live out the rest of his days in his castle in Ireland, financed by all the conflict of interest money he made wiring property tax appeals. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. The longest-serving state house speaker in American history. So I get a 40-year run as the most powerful politician in Illinois, and I amass a fortune doing it, self-dealing. And then I get in a little trouble with the feds, and they strip away some of my campaign cash because I got to pay all these legal expenses. And then a jury convicts me of, some miscellaneous corruption charges. And then I got to, serve 18 months, 24 months when I'm in my 80s. And then I go retire to my castle and wait for my eternal reward. Who wants to sign up for that? A lot of people. A lot of people do. And a lot of people still support it. I was talking to some guys about Madigan, Chicago guys.
Uh-huh.
And you get the whole everybody's doing it argument, which I love. And I just said, forget the ComEd case and these specific charges. It's sort of like Ed Burke shaking down a Burger King. You think that's what this is really about? I mean, the sort of aversion of eyes, the reflexive aversion of eyes it takes to only look at Madigan Burke in the context of the corruption charges that were brought against them in their respective cases. It's laughable. The real story is what they did during their decades at the pinnacle of power in Chicago and Illinois. And looking at that, since everybody conceded, and they certainly enjoyed occupying that pinnacle. So what's happened in Chicago and Illinois on their watch? And you can't, on the one hand, bemoan what's happened to Chicago and Illinois. Public safety, financial stability, economic opportunity, quality of K-12 education. Think about all of those institutions and things that impact your quality of life. And if you're not particularly pleased with how those institutions are operating and what you're getting in return for what is being extracted from you, then how do you not look at Madigan and Burke and many others, but let's start there, and say that the real crimes were what they did as public officials at the pinnacle of power. And this is the proverbial getting Al Capone on tax evasion. By the way, you know who is the most surprised at the convictions?
Who?
Daddy's little girl, Lisa Madigan.
Oh, I didn't see her in court yesterday, did you?
Lisa Madigan was the Attorney General for 16 years, thanks to the Illinois electorate that was also convicted yesterday. She was an Illinois Attorney General for 16 years. She never saw anything. So much to her surprise, it turns out that, her dad was involved in graft too. What a shocker. And now where did Lisa Madigan go? Oh, well, the system takes care of itself. She goes to some, white shoe law firm, Kirkland & Ellis to be specific, to be some sort of half-ass rainmaker. Because she can't practice law. I mean, she can, technically. She has a law degree, and I think she's still a member of the bar, but she's not a practicing attorney. And she wasn't as Attorney General either. But we don't care about those things. Madigan. So again, the celebrations. Right? Where are they?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that line.
Neil in LaGrange.
Well, a couple things. First and foremost, we only have ourselves to blame. We keep sending the same clowns back. But Dan, you hit the nail on the head.
The fault lies not in our stars, but in ourselves. Is that what you're saying, Neil?
Yeah. I mean, it's a joke, but the systematic corruption, it just permeates through everything in this state. And I mean, look at this. I mean, we have the worst or second worst economy or fiscal cliff out of any state, and and look at those two, the way that the assessors work and the assessments. Everyone was always so proud. Hey, if you hire Madigan or if you hire Burke, they'll really take care of your taxes.
Right.
We're
right.
We're all guilty.
Right. It's the cut me in or cut it out culture. That's what pay to play is.
Go back to Operation Greylord and the Counselor's Row. You know, I mean,
right.
So anyway,
and the thanks for the call, Neil. And the sad thing is, people are looking back fondly at the era where it was mobsters and machine politicians rather than Marxists and gangbangers. But of course, one gave way to the other, and those dots don't connect for most. Vince in Crete.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. How about run for governorship for Madigan? Seemed to work for Pritzker with his toilets.
I like that. That's a good idea. I'd like to Governor Madigan and Senator Blagojevich.
There we go. Now you're cooking.
Yeah, thank you. Huh. Why not? Sack of Durbin's probably going to exit stage left. Yeah, I'm game for that. I'm sure Illinois is. Ron, Southside.
Hey, Dan, good morning. Yeah, I was glad about the conviction. But here's the thing. I'm waiting for the sentencing. See, that's what matters. Is it going to be another slap on the wrist like Ed Burke? But then another.
Well. If it's more, but Ron, if the Justice Department meets out more than a slap on the wrist of politicians, then people start to weep for those poor downtrodden politicians, which is why it was so important that Blagojevich not serve his 14-year sentence, because that was somehow an Eighth Amendment violation in the minds of so many alleged Republicans who are Blagojevich supporters, amazingly. So you can't sentence him too much, because that's when Illinois really gets upset. If a convicted politician gets too much jail time, that's the thing we get most upset about.
Yeah, but then my next thing is how long do you think it'll take before those despicable bootlickers like Father Flager and those despicable politicians send their letter of support for him? That's the whole question. But it's a good day that he did get convicted. Yep.
Yeah, thanks for the call. Yeah, no, Paul Vallis will send a character letter for Madigan the same way he did Burke, I assume. Paul Vallis, a goo-goo guy, right? All these goo-goos that never connected their support of the rank and file Madigan roll call votes, but they happen to be, a room temperature radical, not even room temperature, the Kelly Cassidys of the world. They were all Madigan toadies. They all did what they were told. And all the self-styled good government types in the Tony neighborhoods in Chicago and the leafy suburbs. No. Oh, Madigan, I agree with you. Madigan's a problem. But no, my roll call vote here locally for Madigan, well, I'm not going to connect those dots, even though I'm super educated. You look at my beautiful house and my beautiful car. I really know what's going on. I'm educated. I'm civic-minded. It's all bull jive. And unfortunately, we don't have enough people that are willing to notice the same things that I noticed that are obvious if you don't avert your eyes, and then also maybe have a little chat about it, maybe communicate publicly about it, maybe run for office with that being your point, rather than, the sort of Midwest nice, we just go along with people sticking it in our back over and over and over again. Bill in LaSalle County.
Hey, thanks for taking the call. I'm just wondering how long it's going to take before Illinois General Assembly moves to take away his state pension, because this was a corruption charge, a corruption conviction while he was in state office.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Bill. Yeah. All right.
Mayor Johnson chimed in. Today's verdict marks a pivotal moment in Illinois governance.
Pivotal. Mm-hmm.
It's a reminder that public servants must uphold transparency, accountability, and integrity. The people deserve nothing less.
Exactly. Now, I have to retire to my gift room.
Yes.
So, I mean,
I can put on my cufflinks and grab my Kate Spade purse.
Yeah. What did Johnson have? Yeah. Did Johnson have one of his designer bags on him when he issued that statement? I mean, this is
clown world, man.
But the problem is the Illinois electorate, the majority of it, cannot be insulted. It cannot be shamed. They literally have no conscience, because you cannot watch this and participate in it, as so many of them have, and possess any of those things that I said. By the way, so now that the I-team, Kent Brockman went over to NBC, so who replaced him at ABC?
I don't know. They just rearranged reporters that were already there. But yeah, his first day was Monday. I almost fell off my couch. I'm like, why is Chuck Cowdy there? And then they welcomed him to Channel 5, And celebrated his accomplishments.
We appreciate you watching the local network affiliate newscasts, so nobody else has to. But maybe they'd bring Skippy Jacobson back.
You know, honestly, I would not be surprised.
What about Pam Zeckman? She can chase some people down. She's still got... She can... Yeah. Yeah. Why is this the little gargoyle running after me? Senator! George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, when it takes 500 years to say someone did something wrong, it kind of loses some of its punch.
Yeah, well said, George. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
MyPillow is excited to announce that they're having the first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 30% on their brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one Mike has worn every day for 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get the 2025 6-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. The initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And the best-selling standard MyPillow, just $14.98. To take advantage of the first ever mega sale, go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship has sailed because right now every order ships absolutely free. MyPillow.com, promo code LIBERTY.
Jeff Tishlar, author of High Tech versus the Highest Tech, has shared his knowledge of the spectacular things that we see in nature, as opposed to what man has created, and how this should inform one's faith. Jeff served on the mission field all over the world and has created this highly illustrated and concisely written technical book. The easy-to-read format is understood from the youngest reader to the most intelligent and mature readers. Google and Amazon book reviews include, "This is the best little book I have ever read. It is amazing how much information is in this book." And a beautifully written and illustrated book. The author has a gift for describing complicated technical details in a very understandable style. This book is available now in paperback on Amazon. Search High Tech versus the Highest Tech by Jeff Tishlar. 100% of proceeds go to missions. That's High Tech vs. the Highest Tech by Jeff Tishlar.
At Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, we honor traditions, celebrate faith, and cherish memories. Take an active role in establishing your legacy for future generations by pre-planning your final arrangements today. Alleviate your loved ones of future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of interest-free financing and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
AM 560, The Answer.
We got a text. Somebody wanted to know the trial lawyer I was talking about that should be playing with Don Harmon when he's looking for a game at Oak Park Country Club. Because, he finances these guys. You might as well play with them. Right. The mucilagynous trial lawyer I was talking about is Kevin Conlon, for those of you scoring at home. Yeah,
okay.
There you go.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
606, Chicago product Francis Parker Spice introduces reparations bill at the federal level, 606.
It is now 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Hamas says it will release more hostages. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. 3 of them on Saturday as part of the ongoing Gaza ceasefire. Days after Hamas suggested it might not set them free, which Fox's Greg Palcott reports from Tel Aviv prompted.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said if our hostages aren't released Saturday, then the ceasefire is off, and the full force of the Israeli military will finish off Hamas.
President Trump warned Hamas to release all the hostages by Saturday or all hell could break out. The president's also making a push to end Russia's war in Ukraine.
I think they have to make peace. Their people are being killed, and I think they have to make peace.
The president says after his phone call with Russian leader Vladimir Putin, they'll meet in person next. There was also a Trump call with Ukraine's president, but it's unclear how involved Vladimir Zelensky will be in the talks to end the war. A win for President Trump trying to slash the federal workforce. Fox's Jared Halpern's at the White House.
A federal judge in Boston has lifted a temporary order that blocked President Trump's plan to shrink the federal workforce by offering deferred resignations. Judge George O'Toole ruled a group of labor unions does not have legal standing to challenge the program. The offer was sent to about 2 million federal employees, allowing them to resign now and be paid through September.
And about 75,000 workers have accepted that so far. Tulsi Gabbard's the director of national intelligence.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Sworn in hours after the Senate confirmed Gabbard over the objection of all Democrats who also don't like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but can't block him either when Republicans plan to confirm Kennedy this morning as Health and Human Services Secretary. And Fox's Doug Luzader reports another controversial nominee will face tough questions this morning.
Linda McMahon, Trump's nominee for Secretary of Education, appears for her confirmation hearing. Democrats and teachers unions are hoping to derail her.
We are not going to let them to destroy the Department of Education.
Independent Senator Bernie Sanders at a rally in Washington against the Trump push to eliminate the department. America's listening to Fox News.
6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Here in Chicago, a federal jury convicts Michael Madigan on conspiracy and bribery charges. Acting U.S. Attorney for the Northern District, Morris Pasquale.
Michael Madigan, who stood at the very top of Illinois state government, stands convicted of 10 counts of bribery and corruption. Corruption far-reaching in scope.
After the verdict, Doug DePodesta, special agent in charge of the FBI in Chicago, says the verdict, in his opinion, reaffirms that public corruption has no place in Illinois.
Public corruption undermines the strength of our government and erodes the public's faith in our institutions. That strength of government and the public's faith are cornerstones in this country and should be pillars for which we stand.
Jurors convicted Madigan of 10 corruption-related counts and deadlocked on 6 counts involving Madigan and Michael McLean. Attorney Patrick Cotter represented the longtime lobbyist McLean.
We are very glad to be walking out of this building the way Mike walked into it. He was an innocent man when he walked in. He's walking out an innocent man.
However, not innocent, McLean was convicted at the ComEd 4 trial in 2023, while Governor Pritzker released a statement saying the Madigan verdict sends an important message. State Representative Ryan Spain says the State House is still operating under many of Mike Madigan's rules.
His words at the time were specifically this: "This is nothing but politics. This is nothing but a sham show trial." That's our current speaker today. And those words certainly haven't aged well. And neither did the standing ovation that he delivered for Mike Madigan after he was sworn in.
Spain on Chris Welch impeding a House investigation into Madigan in 2020. In other news, we're following embattled Chicago Public Schools CEO Pedro Martinez seeking another job. He's on a short list of candidates vying to become superintendent of Nevada's Clark County Public Schools. No one hurt after a United flight departing was forced to return to O'Hare after an issue with a cockpit windshield. Authorities are investigating the cause of a fire that destroyed a chocolate factory in Kankakee County. It happened at the Gilster Mary Lee facility on Tuesday night in Momence. Dozens of employees were working. No injuries were reported. And after thieves stole catalytic converters from more than 3/4 of a suburban bus fleet, leaving students stranded in back-to-back e-learning days, the district, Troy 30C, finally restoring their bus fleet. The district, which includes schools in Joliet, Plainfield, and Shorewood, said they're monitoring today's weather condition to see if buses are needed. Bulls have lost 4 straight, this time another loss to the Pistons, 128-110. Cubs unable to land one of their top free agent targets, third baseman Alex Bregman, signing a 3-year deal with the Red Sox yesterday. The news service, A Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% off your first preferred order with promo code Chicago. Hurry, offer ends soon. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
On March 4th, President Trump will make his first address to a joint session of Congress of his new presidency.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
And AM 560, The Answer, is throwing a watch party, and you're invited to join us for dinner at the Meridian Banquets and Conference Center in Rolling Meadows. Enjoy dinner before the speech, and then watch the speech with AM 560's Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, and Sean Thompson. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/watch. Sponsored in part by attorney Stephen A. Leahy at Opum Tax Advocates.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
You know, I'm 80 years old, I'm a veteran, and the reds and the greens, I really appreciate the vegan capsules from Balance of Nature. So I can definitely tell you it's all 100% positive. It really, really works.
I love the fiber and spice. I'm getting started back on the fruits and vegetables, but the fiber and spice, it's the best fiber I've ever taken in the last 20 years.
It's the best gift I've ever given myself. I just feel better. I swear it's due to Balance of Nature.
I am really, really happy with the product and couldn't say more to advise people to buy them.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping as a new preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
When a woman experiences an unplanned pregnancy, she often feels alone and afraid. So many times her first response is to seek out an abortion. But because of the generosity of listeners like you, that search may lead her to a preborn network clinic where she'll choose life, not just for her baby, but for herself. Preborn offers God's love and compassion to hurting women and then provides a free ultrasound to introduce them to the life growing inside them. This combination brings the ultimate miracle of life to life, which is why Preborn saves 200 babies every single day.
That changed my life. Just from that ultrasound picture, I'm going to keep my baby, and I'm going to keep growing, and I'm going to be a great mom.
Your tax-deductible donation of $28 sponsors one ultrasound. And now through a match, your gift is doubled, saving twice as many babies. How many babies can you save? Please donate. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword baby. Pound 250, keyword baby, or go to preborn.com/Beck. Preborn.com/Beck. Sponsored by Preborn.
MyPillow is excited to announce that they're having the first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 30% on their brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one Mike has worn every day for 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get the 2025 6-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. The initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And the best-selling standard My Pillow, just $14.98. To take advantage of the first ever mega sale, go to mypillow.com or call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship has sailed because right now every order ships absolutely free. mypillow.com, promo code LIBERTY.
6:09, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for a high-quality, professional-level window replacement service. Contact our friends at Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor, Valdecast.com. Roads are okay this morning. Stevenson, 26 in to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Tri-State jamming up northbound between the Reagan and the Ike. I-88, the Reagan westbound. They're clearing an accident right now after Route 53. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Breezy cold, lots of sun today though, high near 19. Clear to partly cloudy cold tonight, low 0. Sun and some high clouds for tomorrow morning. Cloudy for the afternoon, a bit of snow, and the high at 29. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Clouds and 19 at O'Hare. Next news 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We spent the first hour talking about the Mike Madigan conviction from a lot of different angles, but one thought experiment I wanted to throw out there, because there's more politicians that were birthed by Chicagoland that we need to get to. And so, I mean, since we're sort of Chicago focused right now, in Illinois
and
focused,
I got one for you too.
Think about think about this century. Go back another decade if you want. The Republicans. Republican candidates, office holders. Tell me about the choices that Republicans have made in this state and how those choices worked out. Can you think back to a Republican politician, since you almost have to think back as opposed to thinking in the present, thinking back to Republican politicians who advanced the conservative reform flag, who the Republican electorate elevated, who said, this is the future of our party. Think about it. Think about the choices that Republicans, the center-right portion of the electorate, made over the last 25 to 35 years. When we're talking about the other side and their very predictable responses to the Madigan convictions. As example, Chicago Tribune headline. Democrats try to move on after ex-Speaker Mike Madigan's conviction as GOP calls for greater state ethics reforms. Oh, there it is. The call for greater state ethics reforms, which is the same call that is made after every single conviction of a politician in Chicago and Illinois. Oh, it's just an ethics reform problem. No, it's not. It's not a legislative problem. There's no legislative solution to it. But of course, 24 hours but after he's convicted. Okay, let's move on already. We've belabored the point. Of course. Yeah. The last thing we need to do ever is be reflective. To think about how we got to the place we got. Because that's what we do in our everyday lives otherwise. We pay no attention to the choices that we made that put us in a position that we don't want to be in. Isn't that interesting? How we absolve ourselves of responsibility in the civic arena, where so many people consider themselves very civic-minded. I pay attention. I read the newspapers. I'm informed. I understand my duties as a citizen. I understand the freedoms we must protect as Americans. Do you? What about the choices the center-right has made, will make? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. While you're thinking about that, here's a choice that the near north suburbs have made for many, many moons now, ever since Sid Yates kicked it. And that's Calamity Jan Schakowsky, the wife of Creamy Bob, convicted felon. Calamity Jan Schakowsky, but she's all over the place. She was at that rally with federal workers yesterday. Prattling on.
Yeah, and she was part of the group singing, I do believe.
Of course she was.
That's a good-looking group. I mean, God, that's hot right there. That's the future of the Democratic Party.
Yeah, it was a throwback for all of them to their youth when they were attending communist rallies and having the same good old time. paging through, the Marx Engels reader and so forth. Jan Schakowsky, in a subcommittee hearing on commerce and manufacturing, subcommittee for commerce and manufacturing, in a hearing, I think she's really angled into something.
She's got it. She's got the pulse of the people, Dan.
Well, the problem, she's focusing on women in manufacturing. It's all hands on deck for women in manufacturing, women in STEM. We know this, but there's a problem. Yeah. She's put her finger on a reason, perhaps, that there are not more women in manufacturing.
Yesterday, I met with a manufacturing company, but they also are engaged in getting young people more engaged in manufacturing. So I asked them, so how many of those students that are signing up and want to do this, how many are women? And they said, well, I know there's at least 13% or something. It was a low number. And you had mentioned trying to engage more women in manufacturing. I'm just wondering if just the name manufacturing sounds like a guy.
The reason there are not more women in manufacturing is because they're intimidated by the characterization of the sector as manufacturing. She's been there for 30 years.
Yeah, this is why we need term limits.
No, term limits, that's not the problem. Not the problem. No, the problem is the conscious choice to send her back time and again, when actually, even though that district is completely lost cause, there have been some good Republican candidates that ran against Schakowsky and provided a real choice. Joel Pollack, for example, being one of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Somebody texted in, when is someone finally going to shout April Fools?
Yeah, right. So that's another elder statesman from Illinois in the modern era, Jan Schakowsky.
I know, but she says that, and she's acting like women are stupid. Like we're offended. We won't go into a certain sector of the economy because it says manufacturing. I never even how did that even cross her mind?
Well, that's the that's a peek into the identitarian's mind. And yes, I mean all of these leftist women think women are stupid. They think everybody's stupid. They
think we're being held down by the man, and we're not.
The disposition of the new Marxist is you are the unwashed masses, and you need to be shaped in their image, and you need to be led down the proper path. These are totalitarians. Of course they think you're stupid. And unfortunately, certain electorates, like Jan Schakowsky's, prove her right over and over again.
What does she want to call it? Like woman-facturing?
Ayanna Pressley, you also know her as Frances Parker Spice of the Socialist Spice Girls in the House. She is a Frances Parker grad, thus the Frances Parker Spice appellation. She courageously stepped forward yesterday to introduce again legislation that's been introduced regularly for the last 3 decades, which is the reparations, slavery reparations. And if you think she's just going to get over it, she ain't.
We can legislate justice. Amen. We can legislate healing. Yes. And we're certainly long overdue. And for those that would say we need to just get over it, that's interesting. When as a nation you are benefiting right now from an economy that was built on the brutalized backs and the indignities and the horrors of chattel slavery and our African ancestors.
That's the kind of heft, that intellectual heft that Frances Parker produces for $30,000 a year, $35,000 a year there in Lincoln Park. Is that impressive?
I think it's 45 now.
Is it 45? Sure.
Yeah.
Make it 50. I'll go to 60. Go to 70. Okay. Doesn't matter. Got to get that credential so you can be equipped to do political battle in the arena like Ayanna Pressley. What a wonderful representative she is of Francis Parker, of the Francis Parker education, of the Chicago elite mindset. And in response to all of these apparatchiks bubbling up from Middle Earth into places of authority and renown, I ask again, the Republican Party? Anybody want to comment on that? It's funny, you can barely get anybody to comment on it. It's easy to pick apart the left, and yet nobody wants to talk about the Republican Party except maybe any Republican who's an ever-Trumper, because that's easy too. So, well, Tom from the Northwest Side, will give him a shot. Tom, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, well, when you asked the question, this made me be the first-time caller because we talked about it on Super Bowl Sunday going back to the early 90s with Jim Edgar and Lee Daniels and Pape Phillip. And all of a sudden, when those guys let that remap happen of 91 and 95, and when they let that Louis Gutierrez remap happen in the city of Chicago that went into DuPage County, that was the death knell for the Republican Party in Cook County and the state of Illinois. And we've been railing on it for a long time. Now we have a perfect storm here with a totally inept mayor. And if there was one person that can come to the fold, this would be the time to have a white knight in shining armor from the Republican Party to come in, because I seriously think that with the Democratic playbook has kept the voters suppressed so badly with low voter turnout. It's just the old playbook out of the Democratic Party, and this is the time to strike. But do they have the chops to do it? That's the question.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Well, the remap, they're waving that flag again, because that's what the Republicans have done. They've waved flags. They don't really concern themselves with advancing them, at least since the days of Pate and Lee. The remap in 91, you'll take notice of the fact that Republicans control the state Senate for that decade after that remap that Tom mentioned. You'll take notice of the fact that Jim Edgar won the governor's race in 94. George Ryan won it in 98 with that map. Well, obviously, they're statewide, so it's a little bit different. You'll take notice of the fact that in 94, the 1-2-year interregnum in Madigan's 40-year reign was 94, when the Gingrich Revolution produced a little bit of a revolution here, and Lee Daniels was House Speaker until 96, when Punch 10 took him out. They have a response. The Democrats did, didn't they? Yeah, so, no. I mean, I appreciate the point about obnoxious gerrymandering, Louis Gutierrez's horseshoe district, and many more since, but that's not the problem. That's not fundamentally the problem. It's a problem, but it's not fundamentally the problem. Think about who our bench was supposed to be. We were told it was the stars that were on the horizon that we chose, the collective we on the center right. Members of Congress, Joe Walsh, Aaron Schock,
Adam Kinzinger.
How did they turn out? Think about the gubernatorial nominees. Those are sort of important. Over the last 2 decades, Jim Ryan, 02, Judy Barr, 06, Bill Brady in 10, Ronner, Bailey. I mean, some decent people there, I suppose. Jim Ryan was an honorable man, but wrong candidate, wrong time there. Judy Bartopinka, you could have gone with somebody like Steve Rauschenberger, but we didn't want to do that. We wanted Judy Bartopinka because of inertia, because she was avuncular and fun and so on and so forth, even though she was basically a Democrat. 10, Bill Brady slips through in that crowded primary that I was a part of, because we still didn't want to really do anything different. We were getting to the point we want to do something different. So you had the Chicago land vote carved up so that a central Illinoiser like Bill Brady could win. But But, I mean, Bill Brady was an institutional man. He wasn't a conservative reformer. 14, we just imputed our hopes and dreams into the outsider, hoping and ignored, all of his sort of combine proclivities. And so, in a different way, Bruce Rauner did the same thing George Ryan did, which is to cripple the party from within, something the Democrats can't do. George Ryan did it because of his pay-to-play corruption, having people like Scott Faywell in positions of authority. And Bruce Rauner did it by stabbing conservative reformers in the back on a full range of issues. And then we had an opportunity.
It's a sanctuary state.
Correct. And we had the opportunity to, again, as I made this point before, the opportunity to hold him to account and send the message that the electorate will be an accountability mechanism for party leadership, but couldn't quite get over the hump. 15,000 votes short, Jeannie Ives against Rauner in that primary in 18.
I'll never forget it.
And then Darren Bailey, who I backed, basically to stop another wolf in sheep's clothing in Richard Irvin. Darren Bailey turned out to be a terrible candidate. Mm-hmm. He's a good candidate in Southern Illinois for legislative office. At the statewide level, not a good candidate.
I'll never forget what he did after the Highland Park shooting. That video he put out, oh my God, it was awful. I knew it was over.
One of any number of missteps. And you want to go through U.S. Senate nominees?
Oof.
How about Jim Durkin in 2002 against Dick Durbin? Jim Oberweis.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there were opportunities along the way in these Senate races when we actually used to level up candidates. Now I'm not even sure we're going to bother doing that. But we just couldn't bring ourselves to. And by the way, I'm talking about the donor class. I'm talking about the country club Republican set. I'm talking about sort of the Republican combine set. I'm talking about all those trade unions and the rank and file in those trade unions and their leadership who, threw in with Trump, but also locally were throwing in with Madigan and Emil Jones and John Cullerton. So, I mean, if the Madigan conviction is an opportunity to reflect upon his 40-year reign and what's happened to the state and the city over the last 40 or 50 years and at whose hands, well, then let's do that. I think it's productive. Maybe it will inform future choices. Maybe it will inform the understanding of the implications of those choices. We could go this way again with another person that we've been given from the central office, or we can do a little bit of legwork to unearth people that may actually have the same attitude that Trump does to our local swamp. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Why do so many companies count on Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating? Consistent high level of quality, an ISO certified and A2LA accredited heat treating, electroplating, fastener sorting, and packaging job shop. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating meets and exceeds client specifications. Whether a high volume or a small production run, their processes ensure a job well done. Celebrating their 15th anniversary this year, they specialize in metal fasteners and stampings for automotive and other industries. And with a newly expanded sorting department, there are many sorting and packaging options to meet your needs. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating serves customers in Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, and Tennessee, with easy access to all forms of transportation from an automated facility in Riverdale, Illinois, just 15 minutes southwest of Chicago. Want consistent quality? Call Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating, 708-849-2050, or visit RiverdalePHT.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements. changing the world one life at a time.
So when we saw the advertisements for this by reputable people, I told my husband, I said, well, we don't have anything to lose, so let's do it. Within a month, I could see a difference. It's really great. Y'all should let me do those commercials. Do you know how many people I have gotten to take Balance of Nature?
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't wait. Now's the time to take action. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
AM 560.
The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Following up on their suit against the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago, Pam Bondi, Attorney General, announces a similar complaint filed against the state of New York. We'll talk about that litigation and border migrants, deportations at 6:36.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
6:32 here in Chicago, 19 degrees. Hamas says it will release the next group of Israeli hostages as planned. That would pave the way toward resolving a major dispute that threatens to disrupt the ceasefire. Fire authorities in Taiwan say a gas explosion at a department store has killed 4 and injured 26 so far. Dozens of injuries reported after a car drives into a crowd at a demonstration in Munich, Germany.
The German newspaper Bild puts the number of injured at least 15. The vehicle's driver was detained at the scene, but authorities have not yet said whether they're treating the incident as an accident or an attack. It comes as world leaders, including Vice President J.D. Vance and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, are set to take part in the Munich Security Conference tomorrow. I'm Mark Mayfield.
We just heard from the Bavarian minister in Germany who said the Munich incident appears to be a planned attack. President Trump not saying whether he feels Ukraine and Russia are equal in their efforts to end the war between the two.
It's an interesting question. I think they have to make peace. Their people are being killed, and I think they have to make peace.
Also last night, a federal judge allows President Trump's employee buyout plan to continue. 2 Navy pilots are recovering after an F-18 fighter jet crashes off the California coast into San Diego Bay.
You'll see a large Coast Guard and Navy presence holding the maritime perimeter of the debris field while all of the debris is recovered.
The 2 pilots ejected and are in stable condition. A federal jury convicts Michael Madigan on conspiracy and bribery charges following 11 days of jury deliberations. Acting U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois, Morris Pasquale.
Michael Madigan, who stood at the very top of Illinois state government, stands convicted of 10 counts of bribery and corruption. Corruption far-reaching in scope.
The jury that found Michael Madigan guilty Wednesday did not convict the former Illinois House Speaker's longtime associate, Michael McLean. Attorney Patrick Cotter represented the longtime lobbyist.
We are very glad to be walking out of this building the way Mike walked into it. He was an innocent man when he walked in. He's walking out an innocent man.
Pedro Martinez is seeking another job. The Tribune reports Martinez is on a short list of candidates to become superintendent of Nevada's Clark County Public Schools. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office identifies 2 men shot to death inside of a home on Chicago's far south side. Brandon Wilson and Tyrone Parker Jr. each suffering a gunshot wound to the head. Friends, family, and colleagues remembering the matriarch of the Bears. A funeral held yesterday for Virginia McCaskey at St. Emily Catholic Church in Mount Prospect. Bears ownership remains in the McCaskey family. Virginia's son George, now team chairman. The Bulls have lost 4 straight. This time a loss to the Pistons, 128-110. College hoops, Bradley beat SIU. Illinois State lost to Drake. 6:35 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This week on Capitol Hill is the best way to get informed on everything going on with Congress. Hosted by Tony Perkins and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
We cannot wait to begin this great new work. We're going to usher in a new golden age in America. That's what President Trump has been saying. That's what we've been echoing, and we really feel that that's true.
Stay informed and become a regular listener. This week on Capitol Hill, Sundays at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
You know, you're really not stuck, really. People think when it comes to paying for health care, they just have to kind of go along with the way it is, no matter how frustrated they are with it. But it's not true. MediShare has been a huge help to people for 30 years now. And more these days, especially, people are realizing what a great alternative it is. And the difference isn't just the savings, which are huge. It's the whole thing. You're a part of something good. It's a community of people who care for and pray for and encourage each other. You don't have to pay for things you don't believe in either. You're actually sharing. And yeah, back to the savings, often up to $500 a month with MediShare. The customer service is refreshing too because they're for you. It's just a different way. And even though you might feel stuck with the frustrating status quo, it's not so. You can call them now and start saving and feeling better about how you're doing it too. Here's the number. It's 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41-BIBLE.
Between the Consumer Price Index, inflation, and job reports, it feels like you need a PhD in economics to fully understand the economic news happening around us every day. That's why you need the Everyday Economics Podcast. Join host Chris Krug and economist Dr. Orphe Devungi as they help you understand the economic world happening around you every day. Listen to the Everyday Economics Podcast at americastalking.com or wherever you get your podcast.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at mvpcfp.com. That's mvpcfp.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to mvpcfp.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
MyPillow is excited to announce that they're having the first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 30% on their brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one Mike has worn every day for 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get the 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. The initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And the best-selling standard MyPillow, just $14.98. To take advantage of the first ever mega sale, go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship has sailed because right now every order ships absolutely free. MyPillow.com, promo code LIBERTY.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
6:39 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and this update is a service of AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone, and check the likely cause of that pesky check engine light. Free. Help you save time and money down the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone, AutoZone. zone. This morning, we're seeing delays as you begin your trip on the west side, Austin neighborhood, Cicero and Van Buren. Structure fire there. Delays in Romeoville, an accident. Grant and Weber. Also in Addison, report of an accident. Fairbank and Fullerton. On the expressways and toll roads, we are seeing delays as well this morning, especially on the inbound Eisenhower between Manheim and Ridgeland, and the inbound Dan Ryan between 95th and the Skyway. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Breezy and colder, plenty of sunshine later in the day, but a high only of 19 and a low of 0 overnight. Clouds and 19 right now. Your next news is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Just one postscript to our conversation about political power in Illinois and the performance of both parties and the general ruling class, and what some people like to focus on to the exclusion of what's right behind them. It's easy to rail against Jan Schakowsky or Brandon Johnson, even J.B. Pritzker. But speaking of Jan Schakowsky, as we were, because she's really sussed out the fundamental problem with the lack of women in manufacturing, it's the term manufacturing. It intimidates women.
I'm not in a safe space right now, Dan. Can you stop calling it that, please?
Right. McHenry County. Jan Schakowsky, we were talking a little bit about gerrymander districts. Jan Schakowsky's district now goes all the way to McHenry County.
I know. What a joke.
Yeah. Well, here's something. McHenry County, the last quote-unquote right-leaning Collar County. You know, it's one of those areas where the Republican Party has allowed enemies inside the perimeter, has turned a blind eye to providing opposition to the opposition, and the ground is shifting under them, and many of them have no idea. But it's easy to rail against Chicago out there in Woodstock, isn't it? Jack Franks, he's a Democrat, but he's okay. Steve Reich, useless waste of space in a safe Republican seat. In 2024, the Jan Schakowsky, the 9th Congressional District, the McHenry County part of it, Jan Schakowsky, who is a communist. There's a total of about 45,000 votes cast in the 9th Congressional District from McHenry County. So it's substantial. That's not inconsequential, 50,000 votes. Jan Schakowsky won McHenry County 50.14 to 49.86 over her Jewish Republican opponent, Seth Allen Cohen. You know, they're identified on the ballot as Republican and Democrat, in case you don't know. Jan Schakowsky won McHenry County, the portion of McHenry County in her district. Communist. So tell me again from McHenry County, just to use this as an example, about the work you're doing to take out Brandon Johnson in Chicago, for example. Easy to talk about Brandon Johnson, isn't it? Difficult to talk about your backyard and all the Schakowsky signs in it. Just remarkable. Okay, let's go to the federal level, since I know these are difficult conversations for Illinoisans to have. We don't like to take stock. And by the way, as anytime we've talked about this, I've mentioned many times, I'm the first one to admit my misjudgments. Being in politics in Illinois for 25 years, I've been right a lot more often than I've been wrong, but I've made mistakes. I've made misjudgments, absolutely. Happy to talk about them. Why isn't anybody else? Pam Bondi is giving Kathy Hochul and Letitia James the Pritzker-Johnson treatment.
We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans, American citizens, and angel moms, like the mom standing right behind me, who you're going to hear from in a moment. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today.
Hey, that sounds familiar. That's the same thing Illinois has done, prioritizing illegal aliens over American citizens.
Giving them unclaimed cars from the pound when people are, struggling to try and buy a used car. American citizens, Chicagoans, Illinoisans.
Interestingly, though, the suit filed by DOJ does not name New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who is the mayor of a sanctuary city. The DOJ suit against the state of Illinois named Pritzker and named Brandon Johnson.
I wonder what's going on there.
Bill O'Reilly was on with Fredo. He's got another talk show on someplace. Anyway,
News
those
Nation
two are News Nation. That's right. Those two are talking. Here's Bill O'Reilly's theory. I'm not playing this because I necessarily subscribe to it, but it's provocative, as Bill O'Reilly is wont to be.
Trump wants to get Letitia James and Alvin Bragg. That's what this story is all about. Nothing else there. He went after Illinois because he wants to get Pritzker. Hates him. And the way to do that is to deny the states of Illinois and New York the federal grant money. The New York Post reports today $8 billion is going to get held up by the Justice Department that would have flowed into New York State, which is running an astronomical deficit here, okay? So the easiest way to do this is to file civil suits against the governor and the attorney general. Then the question was, why is the mayor of New York left out? Because he doesn't matter. He doesn't matter. Trump wants to get Letitia James. Hochul is just an ornament. Doesn't have any bad feeling toward Hochul, Trump. But Adams, the deal that was made, I don't know what Adams is giving Trump. I have to tell the audience up front. I don't know, and I don't use anonymous sources, but I have gotten call after call after call that said, and all of these people have agendas who are calling me. They all have agendas, all right? And they're saying that Adams knows where the bodies are buried with James and Bragg. Just throwing it out for your consumption. I'm not reporting it to be true, but it kind of makes sense, right?
Well, it's kind of weird that, like, you can say he has no power, but he's in charge of the city. And when they went after Pritzker in Illinois, they named Chicago and they went after the mayor. Yeah, I'm just saying, if you're going after the city of Chicago, you name the mayor.
No, Johnson and Adams have no power whatsoever. None. They do what they're told to do. The real power lies in the state legislature. Now, in both Illinois and New York, the state legislature gives the big middle finger to Homeland Security. Because blank you, maybe Anderson Cooper could articulate it a little more than I am by using some vernacular. But that's what's happening. And the Trump administration knows that these mayors, this is like the utility infielder on the New York Yankees who plays maybe 3 innings a week. These guys have no power. They do what they're told to do. The big power is Newsom in California. Newsom's next. Hey, Gavin, they're coming for you. Pritzker's going to get destroyed, and Trump will bring down, and I'm going to predict it here, he will bring down Letitia James and Alvin Bragg because they went on a crusade to destroy him. And President Trump is not a forgiving man.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. What do you make of O'Reilly's theorizing on the suits against New York and Illinois, respectively?
I mean, there is a little bit of payback due, I think, to Letitia James and Hochul and Pritzker. But I don't subscribe to all of what Bill Riley's saying. I don't.
The idea that Adams and Johnson have no power is wrong. The idea that Adams and Johnson just take their marching orders, just follow orders. Well, obviously Adams wasn't following orders last go around, which is why he got sideways with the Biden administration. Brandon Johnson doesn't follow orders of J.B. Pritzker. He may follow orders of the teachers union, but he's sort of orders he's giving anyway. I mean, he is one of them. It's not like he's a toady. He's a comrade in arms is the way to really understand it. He doesn't need to be told what to do because he shares the philosophy. So it's more complicated than O'Reilly is suggesting, I would suggest. And in terms of why Eric Adams is left out of the DOJ suit, because DOJ just dismissed the federal corruption charges against him, and because Eric Adams is playing ball in a way that Brandon Johnson is not, even if he's technically still presiding over a sanctuary city because of realpolitik in city politics and a re-election he's facing. I mean, that's what's going on. And whether or not Eric Adams can provide any direction to the Department of Justice with respect to James and Bragg, like I said, he's playing ball. He's playing ball on policy, and I'm sure he's playing ball with respect to the palace intrigue and any sort of opposition research that he can provide on the targets. Sure, that's not exactly revelatory. I also love when O'Reilly says, "I don't use anonymous sources, but here's what my anonymous sources are telling me."
And real quick, just so you know, I mean, Secretary Kristi Noem did tweet out or X'd out that she clawed back the full payment that FEMA deep state activists unilaterally gave to New York migrant hotels. FEMA was funding the Roosevelt Hotel that serves as a Tren de Agua base of operations and was used to house Laken Riley's killer. So she got all $59 million back.
Yeah, a long way to go. But and this is, again, every day, just like it was during the Biden administration, but this time the feds are present and accounted for and are picking people up who need to be removed from the streets and from this country. And I know you got to come through him. You got to come through Jelly Belly because he protects his people. He protects his people like this guy. Feds arrest illegally present. That was the characterization. Illegally present. Oh, God. Illegally present Venezuelan gang member suspected in Chicago mass shooting. ICE agents arrested this 24-year-old in Raleigh, North Carolina over the weekend. Illegally present, found gun, ammo, 10 other Venezuelan aliens in a house where this guy was arrested. Suspected in a number of Tren de Aragua gang, suspected as a member of the Tren de Aragua gang, and a suspect in a mass shooting in Chicago. The belief is that it was the mass shooting back in December where 8 migrants were shot, 3 of them fatally during a house party in Gage Park.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm. So that's going on locally. I mean, just to remind people. Another person, you got to come through Jelly Belly. He protects his people. Migrant arrested 13 times in Chicago is eligible for deportation after pleading guilty to robbery attempt. Judge warns. 13 times in a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you see his mugshots, he's changed his look over the past year, you know.
Always
he had like a mullet,
himself.
then he had a crew cut. But the judge, they would let him out every time. The last time he robbed a woman in Streeterville in November, judge gave him probation. Mm-hmm.
Oh, we are bringing some back, but we're bringing some back to face justice. Tren de Aragua gang member and Colombian national arrested for murder, now awaiting extradition to Florida to face our justice system. But, I mean, the stories. Suspect arrested for the murder of a Boston area sandwich shop owner, Dominican illegal who was caught and released at the Texas border by the Biden administration in 2022. Illegal immigrants accused of raping children, multiple across the country. This is just on a daily basis. The stories just continue to come rolling in. And in case you forgot, just in terms of presenting the contrast, something that we could localize, since we've been spending so much time talking about Illinois this morning, This is what your newly minted vice chairman of the Democrat National Committee said. David Hogg. He's the vice chairman of the party.
I know. Well, they voted for him. Okay.
They did.
He's young, he's fresh. He's got ideas, right?
He does. Here's one. America doesn't just owe these refugees citizenship. We also owe them reparations for destroying their home countries and making them refugees to begin with. If you don't know what I'm talking about, read just about any book, any history book about the U.S. and Central and South America. So not only are they welcome, and we should provide a pathway to citizenship, then we need to, once we provide that pathway, we need to get into the business of making full restitution to people who have broken into this country. Okay. Keep it up. Troy in St. John, Indiana.
Hey, good morning. As far as O'Reilly goes, man, you know his analysis is usually on point until he tries to reduce Trump to just a personality analysis. We got to pay attention to what he does. As far as the Republicans go, for so long we saw them as controlled opposition, and now they're just subdued capitulation. We need Marjorie Taylor Greene types.
Well, yeah. I don't know if that's exactly the profile that I would pick, but I get the point about people on offense. If that's the message you're sending. Thanks for the call, Troy. And there's a lot of ways to be on offense. I mean, in Indiana, look at the reversal. It's funny. When Blagojevich was elected, that was the first first Democrat governor in 30 years. When Mitch Daniels was elected, same time, that was the first Republican governor in at least 20 years, maybe 25 years in Indiana. And now look at the trajectory of those two states, 2002 to 2025. Executive leadership matters. And fighters come in a lot of different forms and dispositions. Mitch Daniels is a good reminder of that. Scott Walker, another example, Mitch Daniels' acolyte. Matt, South Bend.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. I was going to mention, if we didn't see the lawfare light that Trump is trying to put out there, he's going to get more momentum from this because he's handling it early and soon. He's just putting so much together. And I think O'Reilly just wants to keep sounding off and sell some more books, basically. But he's always a good mouthpiece.
There is that, and it's funny when O'Reilly talks about sort of the personality quirks of Trump, particularly some that he shares, like the description of everything that he does or produces with an endless string of superlatives. So it's just interesting. O'Reilly, there's a little bit of a glass house that O'Reilly has when he's being critical of some of Trump's alleged personality excesses. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
So when we saw the advertisements for this by reputable people, I told my husband, I said, well, we don't have anything to lose, so let's do it. Within a month, I could see a difference. It's really great. Y'all should let me do those commercials. Do you know how many people I have gotten to take Balance of Nature?
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't wait. Now's the time to take action. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk about the lawfare that is being used to try to derail DOGE and other legal matters with Professor of Law at Cornell, William Jacobson, at 7:07.
But first, let's stop by that newsroom. Mike, how was that epic snowstorm yesterday?
It was fine. Downers Grove man charged with threatening a state representative. The medical examiner says has ID'd 2 killed in a shooting at a far south side home. CPS CEO is seeking another job. And the Bulls lose to the Pistons. And the Cubs miss out on Bregman. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
It's what Democrats do not want. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Senate Republicans plan to vote this morning to confirm Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as Health and Human Services Secretary.
His beliefs and philosophies and conspiracies would hurt kids, hurt the health of American people.
But Minority Leader Chuck Schumer does not have the votes to block Kennedy. The Senate Judiciary Committee may also vote this morning to advance Kash Patel's nomination to be the FBI director. Democrats don't support him either. They also don't support Linda McMahon and get a chance to tell her that at a confirmation hearing to lead the Department of Education. And President Trump hopes she puts herself out of a job wanting to shut that department down.
Here's what McMahon is expected to say this morning at her hearing. If I am confirmed, the department will not stand idly by while Jewish students are attacked and discriminated against. It will stop forcing schools to let boys and men into female sports and spaces, and it will protect the rights of parents to direct the moral education of their children.
Fox's Doug Luzader. Hamas now saying it does plan to release more hostages from Gaza this weekend, days after suggesting it may not, which prompted Israel to warn the war could restart. President Trump had warned Hamas all hell could break out. And he also is pushing to end Russia's war in Ukraine as soon as possible.
That war is a disaster. It's a really bloody, horrible war.
After talking to Russian leader Vladimir Putin by phone, the president said they plan to meet soon. There was also a Trump call with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, who will meet tomorrow with Vice President Vance at a security conference in Munich, Germany, where there was an attack today. A man said to be an Afghan-seeking asylum seeker drove into a crowd of people at a demonstration, injuring at least 28 of them. President Trump's plan to slash the federal workforce is back on. A federal judge greenlighting the offer for employees to resign but be paid through September. Here's Fox's Chanley Painter.
The judge denied the union's request to permanently block the program because the unions were not directly impacted. And about 75,000 federal workers have accepted the buyout deal so far.
And that offer is now off the table. America's listening to Fox News.
19 degrees at 7:02 here in Chicago. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. A federal jury convicting Michael Madigan on conspiracy and bribery charges. Acting U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois, Morris Pasquale, called it historic.
Michael Madigan, who stood at the very top of Illinois state government, stands convicted of 10 counts of bribery and corruption. Corruption far-reaching in scope.
No sentencing date has been set for Madigan. The jury that found Madigan guilty did not convict former Illinois House Speaker, longtime associate Michael McLean. Attorney Patrick Cotter represented McLean.
We are very glad to be walking out of this building the way Mike walked into it. He was an innocent man when he walked in. He's walking out an innocent man.
Governor Pritzker releasing a statement saying the Madigan verdict sends what he called an important message. State Representative Ryan Spain says the State House still hasn't got the message, still operating under many Madigan rules.
We have to have ethics reforms that empower our legislative inspector general to do their job so that this culture of corruption that exists can be stamped out. But we can't continue doing things the same way Mike Madigan did and expect that we're going to see changes in our state government.
In other news, we're following embattled Chicago Public Schools CEO Pedro Martinez is seeking another job. The Tribune says Martinez is on a short list of candidates vying to become the superintendent of Nevada's Clark County Public Schools. Cook County Medical Examiner's office is identifying 2 men shot to death inside of a home on the far south side. Brandon Wilson and Tyrone Parker Jr. each suffered a gunshot wound to the head Tuesday in the 200 block of East 121st Place. Joann Fabrics and Craft closing a number of stores here in the Chicago area. Chicago, Wheaton, Niles, Naperville, Arlington Heights, and Vernon Hills. The closures come after the company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy last month. And Indiana lawmakers are considering a bill designed to lure the bears to their state. A measure passed that would establish a Northwest Indiana Professional Sports Development Commission. The commission is studying plans not just for the Bears, but one or more other professional franchises. The Bulls have lost 4 straight, this time another loss to the Pistons, 128-110. The News is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
On March 4th, President Trump will make his first address to a joint session of Congress of his new presidency.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
And AM 560, The Answer, is throwing a watch party. And you're invited to join us for dinner at the Meridian Banquets and Conference Center in Rolling Meadows. Enjoy dinner before the speech, and then watch the speech with AM 560's Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, and Sean Thompson. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/watch. Sponsored in part by attorney Stephen A. Leahy at Opum Tax Advocates.
If you've saved $1 million or more for retirement, you're in an elite group and should have an investment strategy to match. BestGen Wealth Partners has a team dedicated to helping build on the success that you've already created. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com.
Advisory services offered through BestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and BestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. BestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
I want you to meet Candace. She's a young woman unsure about the future of the life growing inside of her. But after meeting her baby on an ultrasound provided by Preborn, she had a change of heart.
He's like this tiny little spectrum of hope, and I saw his heart beating on the screen. And I mean, that sonogram changed my life.
Ultrasounds save lives, and Preborn currently has clinics that do not have any ultrasound machines. If you have the means, would you consider a leadership gift? These life-saving machines cost more than most centers can afford, and your tax-deductible donation of $15,000 will place a machine in a needy women's center, saving countless lives for years to come. And now, through a match, your gift will be doubled. Donate securely. Call pound 250, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, keyword baby, or visit preborn.com/Beck. That's preborn.com/Beck. Sponsored by Preborn.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of the Home and Garden Show. Inbound Kennedy at 35, O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. DuSable Lakeshore Drive jamming up northbound Soldier Field up through Monroe. 8094 Northwest Indiana. Eastbound 8094 jammed up with the right lane blocked. An accident involving a semi. It's jammed up between Martin Luther King Drive all the way to Ripley. Homeowners save time and money when improving your home at the free admission home show this weekend in Tinley Park. See hundreds of home products, thousands of ideas, one easy visit. For details, tinleyparkshow.com today. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunny, breezy, and cold today. The high today at 19. Clear to partly cloudy, cold night tonight, low 0. For tomorrow, sun and clouds in the morning, cloudy for the afternoon, a bit of snow for the late day. High tomorrow at 29. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Cloudy and 19 at O'Hare, 21 in flurries at Midway. Your next news update, 7:30 Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Another day, another rally against DOGE-related activities from the New Marxists. Yesterday, it was to protest the closure of the CFPB, Financial Protection Bureau. As we mentioned,
that place. Yeah.
Well, as we mentioned yesterday, the brainchild of one Lizzie Warren. As we mentioned yesterday, good argument made by a Harvard law professor that CFPB should have ceased to operate. Because it's set up to be funded by the Fed, and since the Fed has lost money since 2022, it should not have the resources it's required to keep the doors open. Not that anybody's inside, as we know from these federal agencies. Anyway, I digress. It's more about the good times at the rallies. And good times were had thanks to offerings from, again, Chicago product. Ayanna Pressley, Frances Parker Spice, making her presence felt.
Look, let me tell you something. I'll take a bit of umbrage here. I'll speak on behalf of my colleagues. Something I can say. We are all willing to work with anyone who's serious about doing the work of censoring the American people and advancing progress. But they are not serious.
I'll take a bit of umbrage here, which is resentment. I'll take a bit of resentment here for my colleagues. What? And I'm willing to work with anyone who is willing to censor the American people. What? Did she mean to say serve, and that was Freudian? I don't...
Yeah, I think she just got a little carried away, Dan.
You remember Emmanuel Cleaver from his famous Satan sandwich description of, I think it was a debt ceiling deal. Anyway, Emmanuel Cleaver was present and accounted for at the CFPB rally.
Now, I'm going to be quick because I want to send a message to somebody. Elon, take your musty millions and musty Moscow rights to the moon. Because if you don't, we're going to stand up, we're going to speak out, we're going to march, we're going to do anything we need to do to make sure that the people of this country understand that the CFPB is for them. You get your musty hands off of our money or go to Moscow, you musty moo.
Boy.
You musty moo-moo. That's going to be my new pet name for you, Dan.
Powerful words, but after some of the heated rhetoric, they came together with a question for the American people.
Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on? Which side are you on? We'll fight against DOGE. We'll fight Elon Musk. No Elon's kept within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk. Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on? Which side are you on?
And then Representative Maxine Dexter, the good doctor, got out there and reminded people that we have to frack Trump for some reason.
The rhetoric is getting a little gnarly, you know, with Anderson Cooper calling somebody a Richard, and then this representative from Oregon, the mother, don't tell my children, just dropping the F-bomb on Trump.
Noah
It's
Rothman
weird.
is a senior writer at National Review. He's the author of The Rise of the New Puritans, Fighting Back Against Progressives' War on Fun. Progressives' War on Fun, you say? Noah, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
That was fun. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you got a good point there, actually. Edifying, too. Mr. Cleaver's modern incarnation of Diogenes was truly inspiring.
Yes. That's what he was going for, clearly. I'm sure if you asked him. Yeah.
But then it evolved into something I think actually progressive activists are beginning to resent, which is this sort of appeal to nostalgia, this, devolving back into mid-century protest motifs, like you're in Haight-Ashbury, singing these hymnals, which are evocative of the civil rights era. And that's a formative period for a lot of boomer activists in the Democratic Party, but it does not appeal to a younger generation. And some of them are beginning to exploit it. I wrote about this yesterday. There's this New York City candidate who's a Democratic socialist who's attempting to hijack the Democratic Party and trying to convince New York City voters to re-register, far-left New York City voters who left the Democratic Party to re-register Democrat to vote him in the primary. And one of his advertisements took dead aim at Chuck Schumer in particular, but broadly this decrepit geriatric activism, which appeals, I suppose, to the aged donor base of the Democratic Party, but is just embarrassing to younger Democratic activists, and probably evocative of Joe Biden's, decline in his later years. And you're starting to see the polling that suggests Democrats are really beginning to get frustrated with their party's approach to Donald Trump. Initially in January in CBS News, they found that, more Democrats than not said, we're willing to make some changes and see if we can work with Trump where we can. This is like when they were in the depths of their own defeat. That's over. They're done wallowing in their own self-pity. Now they want to see fight and they want to see action. They want to see resistance 2.0. And they're just not getting it from this cast of Democrats, which means someone else is going to come up in the wings and satisfy them at some point.
Well, they're struggling to find a strategy to counter Trump. I feel like that. And, he started with DEI, then USAID. What's next? The Department of Education?
Yeah, it might be. It depends. The administration is going to, it seems like they're going to attempt to defund as much as they can and grant that funding to the states. This is a congressionally established department, agency within the executive branch. They can't just eliminate it. They can't even unstaff it so that it doesn't do what it's designed to do by Congress. So they're going to encounter some legal obstacles there. But this is a conservative objective since I've been an adult following politics. The elimination of the Department of Education and the disbursement of its funds to state-level educating institutions and educators is a desired outcome from conservative politics since I've been around. So it's not like this is some revolutionary Trump idea. It's just that the Trump administration is at last pursuing what has been a long-held conservative idea.
Not to oversimplify this, and I'm certainly not here to provide advice and counsel to the new Marxists, but this Boy Who Cried Wolf routine they're doing, where USAID, an argument over USAID funding is a constitutional crisis, and an argument over CFPB funding is a constitutional crisis. I mean, they're just indiscriminate. In addition to the form these rallies and protests are taking and who is fronting them, they're just indiscriminate with their, cause du jour. And I mean, ordinary people are not going to die in a hill over, funding for trans operas in Colombia.
No, but I mean, I do get frustrated with the rhetoric around that, because if that's all you think USAID does, I would submit you don't know what USAID does.
No,
you can't tell me the good it does. You can't tell me the bad that it does too, and just assume. And that's part of the problem, is that nobody presents a full picture of anything anymore. The critics of this agency want to say that it's fully profligate, wasteful, and counterproductive, and in many ways it is. To people who support this agency say it's absolutely vital to the conduct of American national security and the U.S.-led order will collapse in its absence, which is not true. The people who are saying that there's a constitutional crisis because the president is seeking relief from the courts is insane. The people who are saying that there's a constitutional crisis because the courts are enjoining executive orders and then presenting relief to the administration when they appeal that are insane. They are all lying to you. They are all misleading you for the sake of ginning up activism, ginning up small dollar donations, trying to get you hot and bothered about things that are really normal. Drives me nuts.
Yeah. Well, the action, though, ultimately, once we get past, well, you're not going to get past this, but there'll be another parallel track that opens up where more attention is paid. as the actual budget making process and the budget bills that need to be brought forth in the House. And on that score, when it comes to the actual exercise of the power of the purse, there's some real concern, Ed, and we talked about it the other day with Senator Ron Johnson, actually, in terms of how much cost-cutting House Republicans can actually accomplish through the normal budgeting process.
Oh, House Republicans can do a lot. If they were inclined.
I know that theoretically. I'm talking about actuality.
Yeah, that's the thing. The budgeting process has only just begun, and what normally happens in this, the Senate seems to be inclined to intervene here because I don't think they like the time that this is taking. But what normally happens is we're going to get something that'll satisfy the majority of the Republican House conference and can peel off enough Democratic votes to pass through the reconciliation process. And there's always going to be a few conservatives who will object, and their objections will be completely valid and 100% above board, and probably ones that I will agree with. But ultimately, that conference tends to lose these arguments just because they can't generate the support of a majority of their Republicans, to say nothing of the opposition party. But what I think we're going to see, at least if we can get from the DOGE committee, some concrete action items that have to go to Congress, and a lot of the stuff that DOGE wants to do has to go to Congress, then we can see a lot more political pressure on Republicans to finally cut some of the stuff that is really obnoxious here. Something that I say often, and it deserves to have a little correction to it, is that the DOGE committee is kind of a redundancy because the Government Accountability Office already does this. What the Government Accountability Office does not do and cannot do, is allergic to, is creating controversy. Right. Is making these things into an action item that you're embarrassed by, that you as a political official cannot defend, cannot look away from because it's just in your face. That's what DOGE has been great for, is taking these GAO items and saying, aren't you humiliated by this? Do something about it. And that might actually bear some fruit.
And in addition to that, they've got the DOGE clock running like the debt clock. And if, by the time they get around to the budgeting process, if DOGE's savings clock is, at $100 billion, $200 billion, whatever the number is, that just puts additional pressure on it. These guys, Elon Musk and the DOGE boys can come up with all these savings going through these agencies, and you guys can't do better than whatever they may default to. That just puts added pressure to come up with real substantial reductions in spending.
Maybe, but any substantial reduction in discretionary spending is just Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. Our problem is non-discretionary spending. Entitlement programs, Medicare and Medicaid.
Oh, do we lose him? We lost Noah? No. All right. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see if we can get him back for let him finish his point. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, okay, we lost Noah Rothman, but we got him back. Noah, I just wanted you to finish your point, too, about discretionary versus non-discretionary spending when it comes to substantially reducing federal spend.
I should have never come back. It might have been the most brilliant point ever, or whatever now. You could have filled in the blanks for me. The only thing is that people hate it when you say $100 billion is not a lot of money because it's a gigantic amount of money.
Yeah.
But everything's relative, and in government terms, it's not a lot of money because we spend $4 trillion per year in federal spending. And the discretionary spending, which means the spending that you can kind of mess with, which, by the way, includes defense, is not the biggest bucket of cash. The biggest bucket of cash is non-discretionary spending, which is stuff that is mandatory spending. It's going out the door by congressional edict. Whatever you do, doesn't matter. And that's Medicare and Medicaid, Social Security, and the interest on the debt. And that's the giant bucket of spending in this country, the vast majority of it. And a lot of it is wasteful. But it's all very popular. And the second you start touching at it, looking at it funny, all of a sudden it's easy to demagogue. You want children to die. You want seniors to live on the streets. And the DOGE committee has kind of broken a little bit of that paradigm there in saying, well, if you actually look really closely at a lot of these programs, they don't make a ton of sense. The same logic applies to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, not the interest on the debt, obviously. But all of it is dubious quality and certainly dubious legal rationales in its defense. And that's where the big money is. Unfortunately, everybody knows it's politically toxic to touch it. But until then, we'll keep tinkering around the edges and getting really big headlines and garment-rending news cycles around how horrible it is that this $70 million program exists. Well, that $70 million program might be really expensive to you and me, but it's not to the budget, to the government's budget. It's a rounding error, and it will not get us towards a trajectory that gets us away from the fiscal catastrophe that we're on when Medicare's hospital insurance fund and Social Security achieve insolvency in the next 7 to 10 years.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with all that, and I think a lot of people recognize that. But by the same token, to paraphrase Everett Dirksen, $1 billion here, or $100 billion here, $100 billion there, you start talking about real money, and it does make an impact. I mean, even Musk's formulation is essentially reduce spend by $1 trillion, deregulate to grow the economy by an extra $1 trillion, and at least you eliminate the budget deficit that we were running in the last fiscal year, which I understand it's a lot more complicated than that riff, but it starts to give you a framework for discussion. And we do have, the Government Accountability Office you mentioned last year pegged annual fraud losses over the last 4 years between 233 and 521 billion. So when we start talking about like $500 billion or in that neighborhood, that's real money.
It is real money. And in Dirksen's time, a billion here, $1 billion there really did matter. The budget has exploded quite a bit, and nothing, it all helps. Every little bit helps. I'm not here to gainsay that. Nevertheless, it is a lot of energy, intellectual and emotional energy, to expend on something that is still a marginal issue when it comes to actually getting the budget approaching balance. And by the way, the DGIO has fingered the PPP abuse, the abuse of the COVID fund. All of that could be reclaimed and should be reclaimed. But it is one of those things that it's, once you start getting into the nitty-gritty of it, you're afraid of who you're going to catch in that sort of situation, because quite a lot of very important people took PPP loans, and a lot of very important people defaulted on those PPP loans, and they were abused. You can go on and on and on. All that stuff is low-hanging fruit, and it should be addressed, but it's just not going to get us to a balanced budget.
Yeah, but it gets the new Marxists singing protest songs outside the Capitol. You can't put a price tag on that.
That's true. The entertainment value alone is priceless.
Exactly. Noah Rothman, senior writer at National Review, author of The Rise of the New Puritans, Fighting Back Against Progressives' War on Fun. Noah, thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com and listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
I ran into my friend yesterday who goes to QC Kinetics. She had an operation on her left hip. Didn't work out so well. Now she has pain in her right hip. And after just a few treatments at QC Kinetics, she is good to go and she is loving life. And she wonders, why didn't I do it sooner? Amy Jacobson here, and I want to tell you about our good friends over at QC Kinetics. So if you have chronic pain due to arthritis or an injury in your hip, your shoulders, your knees, your back, your elbow, call our good friends at QC Kinetics. Thousands of patients will tell you, don't wait. Call today. These orthobiologic cellular therapies, including PRP treatments, can revitalize your joints without going under the knife. No downtime, no drugs, no cortisone shots. Kiss it all goodbye and say hello to QC Kinetics. Call them today for a free consultation. They'll walk you through the process and let you know if you're a candidate for these life-changing treatments. The number to call, 312-809-5955. Tell them Amy Jacobson sent you. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, Worcester, Massachusetts takes up the issue of becoming a trans sanctuary city. We'll tell you what that means, because it could spawn copycats. 7:37.
But first, let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
7:32, 19 degrees, sun and clouds this morning. Hamas says it will release the next group of Israeli hostages as planned, may resolve a major dispute that threatened a ceasefire on the Gaza Strip. Fire authorities in Taiwan say it was a gas explosion at a department store that killed 4 and injured 26 overnight. Dozens of injuries today reported as a car drives into a crowd in Munich, Germany.
The German newspaper Bild puts the number of injured at least 15. The vehicle's driver was detained at the scene, but authorities have not yet said whether they're treating the incident as an accident or an attack. It comes as world leaders, including Vice President J.D. Vance and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, are set to take part in the Munich Security Conference tomorrow. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Vance is set to visit the Dachau concentration camp memorial today on the eve of critical talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Yesterday, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth said Ukraine joining NATO is not realistic.
The United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement.
Federal judge is allowing President Trump's employee buyout plan to continue. A judge announcing unions lack legal standing in their lawsuits. 2 Navy pilots are recovering after an F-18 fighter jet crashed off the coast of California. Evacuation warnings are being issued in parts of California scarred by wildfires as more rainstorms head to the coast. A federal jury convicts Michael Madigan on conspiracy and bribery charges. Following 11 days of jury deliberations, the former Illinois House Speaker was found guilty yesterday on 10 counts against him. The judge also declared a mistrial on 6 counts against Madigan's co-defendant, Michael McLean. Government attorneys do say a decision has not been made about a second trial on the deadlock counts. McLean was convicted at the ComEd 4 trial in 2023. Embattled Chicago Public Schools CEO Pedro Martinez is seeking another job. He's vying to become the superintendent of Nevada's Clark County Public Schools. Chicago sports. Bulls have lost 4 straight, falling to the Pistons again, 128-110. The news, a service of the Tinley Park Home and Garden Show. Hey, homeowners, don't miss the free home show this weekend at the Tinley Park Convention Center. Save time and money when improving your home at the free admission home show. All with one easy visit. Thousands of ideas. For details, visit tinleyparkshow.com today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Hugh Hewitt knows you can't rebuild in chaos.
Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years.
That's true. More than 100 years. Napoleon ordered the execution of prisoners in Gaza 210 years ago. All I know is that you can't rebuild with terrorists in place.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Family life is a crazy adventure filled with love and laughter, but it can also be demanding with work schedules, after-school activities, and trying to remember where you put your keys. It leaves you wondering, where does the time go? With so much going on, it can be easy to lose sight of your family's well-being. Balance of Nature fruits and veggies supplements offer an easy way to get a wide variety of whole food ingredients for your whole family. Don't let a busy schedule get in the way of your family's well-being. Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't wait. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
A new president is sworn in. America's greatness is being restored. And there's breaking news every minute. Now, tens of millions of Americans are turning off Fox and CNN and tuning in to Newsmax for the breaking information they really need to know. Reuters Institute says Newsmax is one of the top news brands in America. Find it yourself on all major cable systems and on your TV or smartphone store. Just download the Newsmax app for free and start watching. You'll get great shows with Rob Schmidt, Greta Van Susteren, Rob Finnerty, and Carl Higbee, and more. Find out why millions of Americans have made the switch. Even President Trump says Newsmax is terrific, and he's watching. So make the switch to Newsmax. Check us out on cable and satellite TV or download the Newsmax app today. Watch us anytime, anywhere. Remember, Newsmax is real news for real people.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
Rick Borick, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
When the stock market struggles, when inflation is high, you need to start looking through the inventory of all your accounts and say, is every one of these investments working as hard as it could be? Because every month during high inflation that you waste, you're losing 8 or 9% a year.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and our new time at 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural hair products from New Nordic. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or CVS.
7:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Balance of Nature. Westside Humboldt Park neighborhood, Chicago Avenue, shut down westbound from Springfield to Pulaski due to an accident and investigation. Veterans Memorial Toll, I-355. You're on the northbound side and you see delays between Boughton and Maple due to an accident blocking a right-hand lane. DuSable Lakeshore Drive northbounders, you're jammed up on the brakes Bryn Mawr to Hollywood this morning. And big delays, I-57 and the Bishop Ford into the Ryan merge. Balance of Nature fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% off your first preferred order with promo code Chicago. Order online at balanceofnature.com. Hurry, offer ends soon. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Breezy and colder, plenty of sunshine. High near 19 today. Partly cloudy and colder, low 0 overnight. 29 and partly sunny tomorrow. 27 tomorrow night. Saturday, snow and flurries. Could see 1 to 3 inches and a high of 34. Sunday, a high only of 20, and Sunday night, a low of -5. Mostly cloudy and 16 right now. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Oh, boy. These identitarian honkies and the race hustlers they platform. When identitarians go wild, I mean, is there anything more grating than when honkies, identitarian honkies, patronize minorities to show how inclusive and DEI friendly they are? And what it really almost invariably illustrates is how racist they are. They're the actual racists. Of course they are. Who is promoting a racial spoil system? Who is reducing an individual to their race or their gender or their sex or their gender identity?
Oh, the
so
Democrats are.
Of course. That's right. The identitarians. That's the whole thing. So, of course, they are the actual racists, the actual misogynists, the actual transphobes. Of course they are, because they reduce a human being to non-behavioral characteristics. And it is most exasperating when it's done in a place that is supposed to orient students to Christ. Loyola Academy.
Oh, no.
Oh, no is right.
What did they do now?
I got a message from a parent who has kids there.
Mm-hmm.
It's Black History Month, you know.
Oh, that's right.
Time to virtue signal. Last week during morning announcements heard in all classrooms, they said that in honor of Black History Month, the cafeteria would be serving jerk chicken, macaroni and cheese, and cornbread. My kid glanced at her black friend next to her who gave an exasperated look to another black student. The tone-deaf champagne socialists strike again.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that line. I would get up if I was black and walk out of there or go to the attendance office and say, what the frack are you doing? Stop. Enough already. I'm surprised they didn't put collard greens on there. I mean, what are they out of their minds?
Okay, Fuzzy Zeller. Okay, yeah, no,
okay.
I know.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Now I'm fuzzy.
I mean, it's just
it's so sad that it's funny. Really.
What a wonderful gesture.
Wow, thanks, administration. You're really making me feel welcome.
I tell you,
politicians and what these Dems don't know. I mean, I was with
politicians.
Kids
these are educators. You're paying whatever $20,000 a year to send your kid to Loyola Academy. You're on the North Shore, and this is what you're doing. I mean, it's just really something to behold.
But what I was going to say is what they don't realize. Teachers, administrators, their kids are not racist. I feel like everybody's a minority now. You'll take one of the teams I've coached. Everybody, there might be one white kid. No one's discriminating against anybody out. They're friends. We don't see color. It's so exhausting.
Well, you see color. I mean, this is like from Coleman Hughes.
I'm just saying, nobody treats anybody differently.
Yes, exactly. You see, but it doesn't matter.
You love them all the same. It's so stupid. I mean, it's just exhausting. When are they going to learn that this isn't working? It didn't work. You lost the election, and part of the reason why is because of that crap that they're doing at Loyola.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of identitarian politics, we've got sanctuary cities, and then we've got trans sanctuary cities. By the way, I mean, in the area of litigation, the lawfare against Trump, you did have 3 attorneys general sue Trump over his executive order prohibiting the mutilation of kids. Minnesota, Oregon, Washington State. So they're litigating everything. We'll talk more about that with Professor William Jacobson at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. Worcester, Mass. took up the issue of making Worcester, Mass. A trans sanctuary city. There's no legally binding power to this resolution, but the city, if the council voted it up, would officially commit to refusing to cooperate with federal or out-of-state entities that would infringe upon the rights of trans and queer people, in their view. And here was some of the public comment from the LGBTQIA2S++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++ and I do mean plus in Worcester.
I need the city to protect me because the federal government won't. And if you think you're afraid of Trump, you should see how afraid of Trump I am.
Can you wrap up, please?
Yes, I can. If you say that you're afraid of Trump and that's why you don't want the city to be a safe space for trans people, you better prepare for trans people to make this a very unsafe space.
Oh, I'm shaking right now. I don't want to be here.
Up,
I'm sorry, am I taking too long pleading for my life?
You remembered how many children I have and that 2 of them are trans.
I speak as both the B and the T in the LGBT.
I'm multiply disabled. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder that causes me immense physical pain. I'm on the autism spectrum, and I have narcolepsy, and I couldn't drive myself here, so I had to hide from my driver that I was in drag, which is not an easy thing to do in drag.
I do not want to be here. It's my day off. I do not want to be in your DMs. I do not want to be in your email inboxes. I do not want my creativity writing diss tracks like Kendrick. I don't want to spend an hour applying glitter on my face so that you will hear and see me. I want you to listen to me.
Let us remember that the Nazis burned the books the Nazis burned books on gender sciences first. Now the administration has villainized and marginalized migrant workers, trans, LGBT people, and even special needs, denying life-saving and affirming care.
Can you look at me and tell me how many of my friends need to die before you do anything?
Please wrap up.
Look at me!
Okay, we're all done here.
Pathetic.
We're all done. Come on.
Of course, we need to continue celebrating Black History Month because in spite of what's coming down from Washington, we all know that we all exist and we all need to be recognized for our existence.
But be aware that you are a guest in my house when you come. And when you come, know that there are strong queer and trans people in my classroom who will collect you with the quickness.
My name in drag is Dee Dee Delight. And my name out of drag is Dewey Cosgrove Atienza.
Laddie LaRouge, he, they, in drag, District 3.
My legal name is Olivia D'Ambrosio. My public name is Livy Scanlon. My wife and I own a home in the Canal District.
I speak as someone who is always misgendered, like all the time. People refer to me as sir when I prefer to be referred to as ma'am.
My legal name is Dan Proft. My stage name is Alonzo Hardcore, and I have a comment.
Please proceed with your comments. Watching this, I first thought it was like an Alex Stein joke. Remember when he used to go to city council meetings and do parodies on people?
No, that's not what was happening there.
This is real.
What do you think the vote was by the city council on the trans sanctuary resolution? After that, after what you just heard, what do you think the vote was?
I think they voted for it, and maybe 2 against it.
9-2 for it.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, 9-2 for
good.
it.
I'm telling you, I'm good at this betting thing now.
Because that's the sort of thing that you want to indulge as an elected official. Mm-hmm. By the way, on this score, there's a lot for DOGE and congressional Republicans to do. American Principles Project has identified 341 grants by the Biden administration promoting woke gender ideology worth more than $128 million in obligated funds, mostly coming from HHS, of course, where you had a trans-identifying person as the number 2 there. Okay, I'll take a couple calls. Lewis in Brenham, Texas.
Good morning, guys. How are you doing? I wanted to make the comment that, Democrats are such idiots. They don't realize that jerk chicken is actually a Jamaican dish. I've served with a lot of Jamaicans in the military, and they actually despise African Americans, and they don't like to be lumped into the same category with them. So that's kind of racist for them to call them that, I guess.
Lewis, maybe you could get a contract as a consultant, a DEI consultant to Loyola Academy for their DEI personnel. What do you think about that?
So insulting.
I have too much common sense, I think.
Thanks for the call, Lewis. Bonnie,
real quick,
ahead.
one thing that one of the drag people said, make this space safe or I'll make it as unsafe for you.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's
okay. That's a threat of violence. Okay.
Right. I mean, it's, of course, all of these, like how many people have to die, the business. It's always the life and death, the end of the republic, the end of the world. I mean, these are, do I even have to describe what the issue is with these individuals? So, I mean, they make a spectacle of themselves, and that's fine. They can do that. But that cowers public officials into doing their bidding, that's the part that's really something. Bonnie in Crown Point.
Hello?
Hey, Bonnie.
Hi. I was going to say, I think that their mistake really is jerk chicken is delicious.
It is.
And collard greens is very nutritional, and they should be running that through their regular menu throughout the year, as well as, certain nutritional other ethnic foods, specifically like Asian.
But you can only do that. You can do, Asian fusion dishes, but it has to be during Asian American History Month.
Oh yeah.
Well, the problem is that Lunar New Year is also in February, so they kind of clash, right?
Yeah. Well, exactly. Boy. Yeah. I mean, sometimes there's just not enough room on the calendar for all the delicious cultural offerings on the menu. Thanks for the call, Bonnie.
Got a text message. Dan and Amy, will Loyola Academy have a minstrel show with staff performing in blackface during lunch?
Don't know if Ted Danson is available, but we'll check on that and let you know. Bob in Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Always good talking to you. For food, they ought to serve Aunt Jemima pancakes.
And yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then one other thing.
Aunt Jemima going to be brought back? I don't know. Thanks. Go ahead.
And then
Bob.
one other thing, since you're mentioning months and celebrations, next week is Engineers Week. I wonder how many awareness and activities people will be going to and celebrating.
What do we want for lunch?
What do engineers eat, Bob?
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
No. I mean, everybody wears a pocket protector or something to celebrate Engineers Week?
I used to wear pocket protectors.
That does not come as a surprise, Bob. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At Signature Bank,
Going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Consume what your body desperately needs every day to stay happy, healthy, and energized. Take Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies. I've been doing it for nearly a decade. It's so easy to open the individual capsules and dust them over salad or mix them into juice drinks or warm water. That's how I do it. And thousands of AM 560 listeners love their Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies, and you will too. 6 capsules a day provides your body, heart, and mind with several servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables. You'll love it, and your body, mind, and heart will thank you for it. Try it out. Call this number, 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35%. 800-246-8751 or online at balanceofnature.com. Coupon code Chicago.
Why do so many companies count on Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating? Consistent high level of quality, an ISO certified and A2LA accredited heat treating, electroplating, fastener sorting, and packaging job shop. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating meets and exceeds client specifications. Whether a high volume or a small production run, their processes ensure a job well done. Celebrating their 15th anniversary this year, they specialize in metal fasteners and stampings for automotive and other industries. And with a newly expanded sorting department, there are many sorting and packaging options to meet your needs. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating serves customers in Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, and Tennessee, with easy access to all forms of transportation from an automated facility in Riverdale, Illinois, just 15 minutes southwest of Chicago. Want consistent quality? Call Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating, 708-849-2050, or visit riverdalePHT.com.
All across the country, states are embracing school choice and offering vouchers to families to send students to whichever school they want, including private Christian schools. Illinois, however, has resisted this trend, despite all the benefits of private education. Well, we have a solution. ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. It's simple. Just visit ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com and tell us which private school you want to send your child to. Then we contact the school on your behalf and work to secure a voucher for half off the first year of tuition, typically saving thousands of dollars for families. The program only applies to new students who are not currently enrolled in the school. So if you've been considering sending your child to a private school and thought it was financially out of reach, go to ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com to learn more and to start the process today. That's ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com.
When I started skiing, I didn't think about setting any records. When I won my first race, I didn't think about how many more I might win. So when I made it to the top of the world, it never crossed my mind to stop. Being the best isn't the same as being your best. There are no shortcuts to the top, so find the people who help get you there. I'm Michaela Schifrin, and that's what Team Stiefel means to me. If you're an advisor or an investor, choose Stiefel, where success meets success.
Stiefel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselis.
When is spring?
Today.
Huh?
Just purchase a Beauty Rest Certa Perfect Sleeper or Sealy Posturepedic from Hasselis Mattress today and get a free box spring.
Okay, but the arrival of spring.
Tomorrow.
What?
We'll deliver your mattress and free box spring tomorrow.
Are you the store with no employees?
Give your mattress a try with no pushy sales guy.
Plus a free box spring?
Yes.
Looks like spring's coming early this year.
Find your employee-free Chicagoland showroom at Hasselis.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk lawfare against DOGE and the Trump administration with Cornell Law Professor William Jacobson at 8:08.
But first, let's stop by that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Madigan convicted on federal conspiracy and bribery charges. A Downers Grove man charged with threatening a state rep. The medical examiner has identified 2 killed in a shooting in a far south side home. The CPS CEO was apparently seeking another job, and lawmakers are advancing a bill in Indiana designed to lure the Bears there. Bulls lose to the Pistons. Cubs will miss out on an all-star. And a funeral held for Virginia McCaskey. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Ukraine's president is pushing back. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The day after President Trump said he was optimistic about ending the war after a long phone call with Russia's leader, saying he and Vladimir Putin will soon meet in person for talks.
So we can stop the killing, and I think we'll probably end up at some point getting a ceasefire.
Now, this morning, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he will not accept any Trump-Putin agreement in talks that do not include Ukraine. Tomorrow, Zelensky will meet with Vice President Vance at a security conference in Munich, Germany, where someone went on the attack today, driving into a crowd of people, injuring 28 of them. There's a Gaza update this morning. Hamas now says it will release more hostages Saturday, days after threatening not to, which led to Israeli threats of restarting the war. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has a big day, poised to become the Health and Human Services Secretary in a Senate vote this morning.
Democrats blasted Kennedy's understanding of Medicaid and his stance on vaccines in a late-night session. The question is not whether the Senate will confirm Kennedy, but whether all Republicans will vote yes.
Fox's Chad Pergram at the Capitol. This hour, the Senate Judiciary Committee will meet to consider advancing Kash Patel's nomination to be the FBI director. No Democrats support him either. A win for President Trump in court. A federal judge lifting his block on the Trump buyout plan for federal workers. However, those who didn't accept that offer already can't anymore. The deadline's now passed.
The Trump team believes they've shrunken the federal workforce by about 3%. By the deadline, 75,000 people said they wanted to take the offered buyout, so long as it holds up in court and Congress funds the 8 months of pay and benefits.
Fox's Peter Ducey at the White House. We just got another update showing inflation creeping back up, this one on wholesale or producer prices for January.
PPI month over month came in higher by 0.4%, hotter than expected. 3.5% is the headline year-over-year number.
Fox Business Network Cheryl Casoni says, like the consumer price update yesterday, the annual wholesale inflation rate was higher than December's. America's listening to Fox News.
Clouds and sun. We have 16 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A federal jury convicts Mike Madigan on conspiracy and bribery charges. Following 11 days of jury deliberations, the former Illinois House Speaker and Democrat was found guilty yesterday on 10 counts against him, including 3 counts of wire fraud and 2 counts of bribery. After the verdict, Doug DePodesta, special agent in charge of the FBI in Chicago, says the verdict reaffirms that public corruption has no place in Illinois.
Public corruption undermines the strength of our government and erodes the public's faith in our institutions. That strength of government and the public's faith are cornerstones in this country and should be pillars for which we stand.
Government attorneys say a decision has not been made about a second trial on any deadlocked counts. State Representative Ryan Spain says the State House is still operating under many Mike Madigan rules, and that needs to change. Spain also says the current speaker impeded a House investigation into Mike Madigan.
His words at the time were specifically this: "This is nothing but politics. This is nothing but a sham show trial." That's our current speaker today. And those words certainly haven't aged well. And neither did the standing ovation that he delivered for Mike Madigan after he was sworn in.
Embattled Chicago Public Schools CEO Pedro Martinez is apparently seeking another job, vying to become superintendent of Nevada's Clark County Public Schools. Bulls lost to the Pistons 128-110. The News, a service of Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule. Order online at balanceofnature.com. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35%. 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Taylor Riggs, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Deere & Company shares are down more than 4%. Earnings and sales at the heavy equipment maker are down sharply from a year ago. Deere says it's dealing with weaker demand. It hasn't estimated any impact from tariffs on the U.S. or regulatory actions by other countries. Molson Coors quarter was better than expected. The beer company's profit and sales topped expectations. Higher prices helped offset slower sales. A major oil company is cutting staff. Chevron says it will cut 15 to 20% of its global workforce by the end of next year. It's looking to cut up to $3 billion in costs. Honda and Nissan have ended their merger plans. Nissan is now expected to look for other partners. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Poselda, invested in you.
AM 560 news time is 8:05. We'll have a check of traffic and weather in 2 minutes on AM 560.
On March 4th, President Trump will make his first address to a joint session of Congress of his new presidency.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
And AM 560, The Answer, is throwing a watch party. And you're invited to join us for dinner at the Meridian Banquets and Conference Center in Rolling Meadows. Enjoy dinner before the speech and then watch the speech with AM 560's Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, and Sean Thompson. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/watch. Sponsored in part by attorney Stephen A. Leahy at Opum Tax Advocates.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Jason Zenger, owner of Zenger's Industrial Supply and host of the Making Shifts podcast, and a proud customer of Signature Bank. Through rapid growth, acquisitions of competitors, and taking over from the previous generation, Signature Bank was there with us every step of the way. Recently, the team introduced us to FinRails AP, their proprietary system for accounts payable automation. Not only did FinRails AP help us to reduce costs and create efficiencies, but it also helped minimize fraud risk. Now, our company can invest time into what we do best, supplying industrial products, metalworking tooling, contractor tools, and safety supplies to those who make, build, and create great things for our country.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
When a woman experiences an unplanned pregnancy, she often feels alone and afraid. So many times her first response is to seek out an abortion. But because of the generosity of listeners like you, that search may lead her to a preborn network clinic where she'll choose life, not just for her baby, but for herself. Preborn offers God's love and compassion to hurting women and then provides a free ultrasound to introduce them to the life growing inside them. This combination brings the ultimate miracle of life to life, which is why Preborn saves 200 babies every single day.
That changed my life. Just from that ultrasound picture, I'm going to keep my baby, and I'm going to keep growing, and I'm going to be a great mom.
Your tax-deductible donation of $28 sponsors one ultrasound. And now through a match, your gift is doubled, saving twice as many babies.
How many babies can you save? Please donate. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword baby. Pound 250, keyword baby, or go to preborn.com/Beck. Preborn.com/Beck. Sponsored by Preborn.
It is 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Turnkey.pro. Start the new year right with Turnkey's all-in package. Unlimited help desk support, firewall router, unlimited backup and recovery, and antivirus protection. Plus new hardware for one low monthly investment. Visit Turnkey.pro. Turnkey.pro. 45 on the inbound Kennedy O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now at 1 hour, 390 into the old post office. Peak travel time on the inbound Dan Ryan, 40 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. You're solid on DuSable Lakeshore Drive northbound at Bryn Mawr. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Breezy cold, lots of sun today though, high near 19. Clear to partly cloudy cold tonight, low 0. Sun and some high clouds for tomorrow morning. Cloudy for the afternoon, a bit of snow, and the high at 29. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Mostly cloudy and 16. Next news 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Bleach, blonde, bad-built, butch beach body Spice. Jasmine Crockett of the Socialist Spice Girls in the House Democrat Socialist Caucus. She's sick of mediocre white boys and their tears. We know this. She has suggested that brown people are going to be rounded up by the Trump administration. And she reminds us often that she's an officer of the court. She's an accomplished attorney, so she tells us. So when she speaks about matters of law and order, you should E.F. Hutton her. You should listen up. And she did yesterday in a hearing over DOGE activity. And guess what phrase she used? Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. The one that they've all been using. They read from the same script.
I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is that the Republicans believe our job is, because right now they have relinquished their constitutional duties over to an unelected bureaucrat, someone who no one went out to vote for. And absolutely, he is occupying the Oval Office, as we saw yesterday. And that is a first for me, to see someone occupying the Oval Office who's never actually been elected to the Oval Office and actually answering more questions than the person that allegedly got elected. But for whatever reason, this is the first time we're having a DOGE subcommittee hearing, and that guy's not here. Instead, we have y'all. So I do want to thank you for coming.
Constitutional crisis. Did Trump allegedly get elected? Oh, we're doing that now? Interesting. Anyway, so yeah, constitutional crisis. Nothing of the sort. Actually, Kim Strauss has a good piece in the Journal today about how the lawfare of the left may not fare as well on many of these matters as it has previously. But that's not going to be for lack of trying by the two Johns. The two Johns are the federal judges prostituting themselves for big government. I'm talking about John McConnell from Rhode Island, John Bates from D.C., and we may have a constitutional issue, and not the one Jasmine Crockett is inventing, but with these judges and with inferior courts, Article 3 courts, created as Congress may deem necessary. That conversation is starting now because of the behavior of the two Johns. And it's not strictly limited to a disagreement about judicial philosophy or interpretation of executive power. No, it's about conflicts of interest. For example, Eco, this guy that's Substacker who has popped up, and he seems to, first of all, he's doing some pretty good investigative work, and secondly, he seems to have a in with the DOGE boys, with the sort of detailed information he's providing, much of which has checked out. Judge McConnell, John McConnell, one of the two Johns from Rhode Island, and this is documented. He made direct contributions to senators who confirmed his appointment. Senators of the Democrat Socialist variety, who are the loyal opposition here to what DOGE is doing, what the president is doing. The actual amounts don't really matter. It's the appearance of impropriety. Judge John Bates, the other John, his wife founded Hope for Children in Ethiopia, which is a recipient of USAID funding.
Oh, go figure. Wow, I'm shocked.
And these are the two Johns are the judges putting the stop orders on the DOGE activity. His daughter works at the Department of Education. So he is opposing the efforts of the Trump administration to make adjustments to the way USAID operates, where it spends and doesn't spend. Department of Education. The other thing that they've done is where there is documented evidence of fraud, they're ordering the Trump administration to continue allowing USAID, Department of Education, to spend how they spend. As Eco writes about this, and I tend to agree with him, this is like a systemic problem in terms of judges like these two, and they're members of Congress who are introducing articles of impeachment against both of them. And it's not this again. This isn't a matter of a disagreement over judicial interpretation of statute. This is a matter of being compromised and having a lifetime appointment on the bench. That's the systemic part of it, if we're going to allow this sort of thing to continue. And at least a couple of members of Congress don't want it to. For more on the topic, pleased to be joined by Professor William Jacobson. He is a clinical professor of law and director of the Securities Law Clinic at Cornell. He's also the founder of LegalInsurrection.com and president of the Legal Insurrection Foundation, as well as the Equal Protection Project. Professor Jacobson, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on again.
What's your view on the two Johns?
I don't know enough about them. I know a little bit more about McConnell because he's from Rhode Island, and we covered at the website the controversy over his nomination, which was widespread. It wasn't conservative media. It was Politico really broke the story that he had donated close to $700,000 to Democrat-related causes, including, I think it was $12,000 to Sheldon Whitehouse, one of the senators who nominated him for the bench. So that was all out there, and that was a big controversy at the time, and Republicans were unsuccessful in stopping the nominations. So I don't know anything about the other person that you mentioned other than what's been in the news. So I would say in these things, people might be making a mistake. People who are opposing what's happening in the judiciary might be making a mistake by trying to personalize it to a particular judge, because you either have the proof that it's a legal conflict that requires recusal or you don't. The bigger problem is that in 40-some-odd lawsuits, and particularly about a half dozen, the two that you've mentioned, the one in Boston involving National Institutes for Health, the one in New York where a emergency judge basically decapitated the Treasury Department at 1 a.m. on a Saturday morning. The bigger issue is that the Democrats' strategy of resistance is to have the federal judiciary take over the executive department and run it. And that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's not much of an exaggeration. So I think that's what people need to be focusing on. If you try to personalize it to a judge, they've got lifetime appointment. It might make good press, might get people excited, but neither of these judges is being removed from the bench through impeachment because it would never get through the Senate. So I think I think people are focusing on the wrong things. I think people need to understand that this is an attempt to make a job offer to the federal judiciary to run the federal executive branch. And that's really what's going on here. I don't think it'll hold up very long. They have had a shock and awe on the lawfare, but they really haven't accomplished a lot substantively so far. The order decapitating the Treasury Department was walked back by the permanent judge assigned to the case as opposed to the emergency judge. And now the senior leadership is restored, and I don't think that any of it will survive when she finally rules at the end of this week or next week. The offer that Trump made for federal employees to take a buyout offer was temporarily freezed, and then it was unfrozen. So those buyout offers are back. So Democrats achieved a lot of shock and awe with emergency, hair on fire, motions that the judges should not have granted in almost every single case. But, I think people need to keep the bigger picture, in mind, as opposed to doing what the Democrats do when they go after, Justice Thomas and people like that. And I know a lot of people say, well, they do it, we should too. I think people are missing the bigger picture here.
Well, I mean, I think you can walk and chew gum. I think you can focus on sort of the bigger picture, as you say, the fundamental issue here, that, as you say, the effort by Democrats to have the judiciary take over the executive, one branch consume the other. But you have to I think you do have to personalize it. And I think you have to hold people to account. And, people do focus on individuals as proxies for the bigger picture. And one of the things is if this all checks out, and it looks like it checks out, that you have conflicts of interest, at least colorable conflicts of interest with these judges, then it does speak to potentially a larger problem in the federal judiciary with these lifetime appointments. And to make an example of one or two, to send a message, not just about conflicts of interest, but also about any attempts to, unduly slow walk this process because you have this idea that Trump has a 2-year clock and maybe we can push some of these things off and we can get Democrat control of the House and Senate again and facilitate that. I think you do have to fixate people on something they can readily understand, like a judge doing the bidding of the left because he's compromised and aligned.
Well, if he's compromised and aligned, we do have a Trump administration and Trump Department of Justice. They should be moving to recuse these people.
Yes,
people screaming on X and et cetera isn't going to accomplish anything, other than whipping people into a frenzy. So, I think the question is, if there are legitimate conflicts of interest, then the Trump administration, the Trump Department of Justice Pam Bondi needs to be more aggressive in trying to get judges removed from the case. But if all it is basically what the other side says about Republicans, this person was a member of the Federalist Society, or this person is close to such and such senator, you're not going to get very far. You're spitting in the wind with that. And that's what was, claimed when, Republicans would go to judges in Texas in the Fifth Circuit to oppose Biden, and the opposition to Trump is mostly going in deep blue states where they have a high percentage likelihood of getting a friendly judge. It's a problem, but that's a longer-term issue. Right now, the federal government, the DOJ, if it believes there actually is a conflict, needs to move to recuse the judges.
I agree with that. Sometimes the internet is faster than the Department of Justice, and pressure is applied that way. So we'll see, but that's a fair point. I want to get your take on something too. This is just sort of interesting. We're making America the War of 1812 again. Tim Burchett, a Republican from Tennessee, introducing the Cartel Mark and Reprisal Authorization Act, which would authorize Trump to provide letters of marque to privately armed and equipped individuals or groups to seize persons and property of any cartel member, or cartel-linked organization. That is literally, from the Revolutionary. This has been done before. Revolutionary War, War of 1812, as I just mentioned. I don't know if it still has modern application, and I have some concerns about it. But what do you think about that legislation?
Well, I don't know if bounty hunters is the right term.
Sort of, yeah. Privateers, yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. I haven't read the legislation, but we do. Republicans have control of the federal government. Okay, Republicans have control of an enormous law enforcement bureaucracy right now. Do they really need to hire private people to do this? Why doesn't our government do it? To me, that's kind of sidestepping the issue. So I'm not really. The U.S. government, I believe, has designated these cartels as terrorist groups. There's an enormous power that a lot of people used to complain about that the federal government has over groups that are designated foreign terrorist entities. So again, people are looking for quick fixes with ideas that may get attention, but we do have control. Republicans have control of an enormous federal power right now. And the question should be, if you need private individuals to go out and seize assets, why is that? Why isn't the government doing that? It's one thing when, it was run by the Biden administration and people could say, well, we need, Biden won't do it. I think the pressure needs to be put on the Trump administration to be more aggressive if that's what's needed, rather than outsourcing it to private individuals or private groups.
I wanted to ask you about. Oh, Dan, did you want to do a follow up?
Well, I wanted to get your view about the approach the Department of Justice is taking with sanctuary city state jurisdictions, suing Illinois and Chicago, suing New York State. Do you see any legal issues with suing them and basically withholding funds, which is where they want to go, withholding federal funds that they were otherwise earmarked to get?
Well, I'm not really sure why they needed to sue them. Aren't there provisions in the various acts, or don't they have the power to withhold that funding if they're violating the law? Now maybe they wanted legal cover for that. So yeah, I think that sanctuary cities are violating federal immigration law, and there's many ways to deal with that. One is withholding funds. I'm not sure why they needed to file a lawsuit to do that, other than perhaps they were concerned if they just did it unilaterally, they'd be on the receiving end of a lawsuit. So I'm not really understanding the procedure that they're using. I'm not opposed to withdrawing the funds and withholding the funds. Just not sure why they needed a lawsuit to do that.
My sense, and I may be wrong on this, but my sense is that there's some discrepancy. That on the one hand you'll have a Pritzker or a Hochul say we're not violating federal immigration law. We're just not using local resources to help federal law enforcement, and that's not against the law. Whereas the representations that the Department of Justice has made in court in both cases is actually they are actively impeding federal law enforcement, and this is the basis to withhold the funds.
Well, actually impeding and interfering with federal law enforcement, I believe, is a crime.
Right. No, I know.
Why, why aren't they doing this criminally as opposed to, if they have the evidence that there's actual interference, but again, I think probably what they want is they want a ruling that they can then jump off of as opposed to just doing it. But if they have evidence, and they've threatened it, okay? If they have evidence that someone is actually interfering in federal immigration enforcement as opposed to just sitting on your hands and, not doing anything, there are plenty of criminal statutes available, or there are criminal statutes available to address people who do that. And they did threaten, that if there is interference, there will be criminal prosecutions. So, one thing that we all see, repeatedly in history, at least modern history, is that Democrat administrations are much better and much more efficient at wielding their power than Republicans are. And we're seeing that again. If there had been a policy, you look at how many people got prosecuted by the Biden administration. Look how methodical they were in destroying our immigration laws. They just do it. And don't worry about it. Republicans move more cautiously. And, part of that is, the Democrats keep screaming about respect for the rule of law. Republicans are ruining it. In fact, it's just the opposite, actually. The Republicans have tremendous respect for the rule of law. That's why perhaps Pam Bondi is filing a suit to cut off the funding as opposed to just doing it.
Well, real quickly, is there anything unconstitutional and illegal about what DOGE, Elon Musk, Trump is doing while they're dismantling USAID?
Not that I see. I don't see any, thing that's wrong with the executive department putting in place the people it believes should be in place to, root out waste, fraud, and abuse. I don't see how that's unconstitutional. This is the problem. This is the problem in that New York Southern District of New York case that with the 1 a.m. Saturday morning emergency TRO regarding the Treasury Department. The judiciary doesn't get to decide and nitpick how the executive branch runs the executive branch. And that's what all these judges are being asked to do. They're being asked to substitute somebody else's judgment, mostly a political judgment, for the judgment of the people who actually are in control of the executive branch. And the New York one, to me, was maybe the most outrageous, which is at 9:45 p.m. on a Friday night, 18 states, I think it was, led by Letitia James, New York Attorney General's office, went in claiming that there was this wholesale threat to exposing personal information because the Trump administration had allowed people access to Treasury systems. An emergency, the world's going to end. The judge at 1 a.m., without even giving the government a chance to be heard, signs an order removing all political appointees from access to those systems, which would have included the Secretary of Treasury.
Right.
It was an embarrassment, that order. It's been walked back by the next judge. But the point is, they're now arguing in court, and I've been following all the court papers that have been filed. The government put in its position finally when it was given an opportunity and said there's no case here. There's no legal claim. There's no standing for states to sue, that there is no threat to anything. In fact, there wasn't like the DOGE team coming in and looting the system. There was one person who had access, carefully monitored, who was a special employee, had no ability to change anything, no ability to download anything, had view-only access. They monitored him carefully. And by the time the lawsuit was filed, he wasn't even working for them anymore. And there was one other person, a senior person who's still there, who had over-the-shoulder access. I mean, he couldn't do anything, but he could observe other people doing it. So there was no threat. It was completely invented. The court jumped the gun on it. I think it will be walked back. But if it's not walked back, and if the current judge who's in place continues limitations on political appointees controlling the Department of Treasury, I think that goes up on appeal. I think it gets reversed, and I think it needs to be. I mean, the federal judiciary has a very important role, and I'm not bashing the judiciary as a whole, but they're being asked by the Democrats to do something that is not the role of the judiciary, which is to pass political judgments on whether what an executive department does is good or bad. And a federal judge is in no better position than the people at Treasury to decide what the appropriate security measures are. That's not for a federal judge to decide, and that's the problem here.
Professor William Jacobson, clinical professor of law and director of the Securities Law Clinic at Cornell, founder of LegalInsurrection.com, and president of the Legal Insurrection Foundation, as well as the Equal Protection Project. Professor Jacobson, thank you. Appreciate it, as always.
Great. Take care.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Cincinnati Children's Hospital denies a 12-year-old a heart transplant. You'll find out why, and we'll discuss with Carol Markowitz at 8:38.
And meet a lady who's been very busy. She'll explain that as well. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
8:33, clouds and sunshine this morning. Hamas says it will release the next group of Israeli hostages as planned. That would pave the way toward resolving a major dispute that may have threatened a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Fire authorities say a gas explosion at a department store killed 4 and injured 26, some severely, at a food court on the 12th floor of a department store in Taiwan. Dozens of injuries reported after a car drives into a trade union demonstration in Munich, Germany. This morning, the Bavarian minister says the Munich incident appears to be a planned attack. Vice President J.D. Vance is set to visit the Dachau concentration camp memorial, making a stop at one of the most powerful symbols of World War II on the eve of critical talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. 2 Navy pilots are recovering after an F-18 fighter jet crashes off the coast of California. The 2 pilots are in stable condition following yesterday morning's crash into San Diego Bay.
You'll see a large Coast Guard and Navy presence holding the maritime perimeter of the debris field while all of the debris is recovered.
A federal jury convicts Michael Madigan of conspiracy and bribery charges.
Michael Madigan, who stood at the very top of Illinois state government, stands convicted of 10 counts of bribery and corruption. Corruption far-reaching in scope.
Acting U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois, Morris Pasquale. Embattled Chicago Public Schools CEO Pedro Martinez is seeking another job. He's on the short list of candidates vying to become superintendent of Nevada's Clark County Public Schools. Friends and family and colleagues remembered the matriarch of the Bears yesterday at a funeral at St. Emily Catholic Church in Mount Prospect for Virginia McCaskey.
She was the grand old lady of all Chicago sports, of all the NFL. And it's a sad day for Chicago sports, but to know that she lived so long and loved the Chicago Bears for so much of her life, it's just a glorious thing.
Former defensive lineman Dan Hampton. The Bulls have lost 4 straight, this time another loss to the Pistons, 128-110 at the United Center. White Sox have their first full-team workout on Monday, while the Cubs were unable to land one of their top free agent targets. Third baseman Alex Bregman signs a 3-year deal with Boston. 8:36 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
We do anything for love.
This Valentine's Day, you can say, I love you to that special someone.
Just one kiss from your sweet lips will tell.
In the form of $2,000 if you win our Cash for Couples contest.
I love you so much.
Enter today at 560theanswer.com/love. That's 560theanswer.com/love.
This is Seth Leibson for townhall.com. A lot of people are raising their hackles over President Trump's plans to end the Department of Education. They need to relax. I bet you the majority of those in earshot of this commentary went to school and was likely very well educated before the Department of Education even existed. How did you possibly receive an education? Can anyone truly say that education has improved in America since the department was created in 1979? Our outcomes have either been flat or worsened. To give a sense, about 40% of our fourth graders cannot read today. And most experts say literacy needs to be achieved by third grade to go forward in life and education. The vast majority of education funding does not come from the federal government. About 90% comes from states and localities. The few functions the department could engage in that are critical, like civil rights and assessments, can easily be handled elsewhere and should be. Ending the Department of Education as it is ending the madness and finally heeding the long-ignored calls for common sense.
MyPillow is excited to announce that they're having the first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98, kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 30% on their brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one Mike has worn every day for 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get the 2025 6-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. The initial quantity quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And the best-selling standard MyPillow, just $14.98. To take advantage of the first-ever mega sale, go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship has sailed because right now every order ships absolutely free. MyPillow.com, promo code LIBERTY.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm 76. I had been retired for about 10 years, and at 68, I decided to go back to work. Our company had a contest, and it was a walking, steps. I ended up, by the time it's the end of the 6 weeks, I was doing like 17,000 steps a day. So after the contest, I came in third. I kept hearing about Balance of Nature, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. So I did.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set. Don't wait. Now's the time to take action. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Destination Retirement with Robert Kuhn, Sunday mornings at 11, sponsored by Kuhn Capital Partners in Naperville.
8:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule. Order online, balanceofnature.com, coupon code Chicago to save 35% as a preferred customer. Inbound Kennedy, 1 hour, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. 65 minutes on the inbound Ike from 390 into the old post office. Dan Ryan coming inbound, 35, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Tri-State jammed up northbound due to an accident. We have a left lane block between Cicero and Southwest Highway. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast, breezy and colder with plenty of sunshine throughout the day. High 19, clear to partly cloudy and colder, low 0 overnight. Mostly sunny and 15 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Boy, the problem we have with children's hospitals in this country, really something between mutilating children, which now Trump has effectively put an end to, and continuing COVIDian policies from a bygone era. Children's Hospital in Cincinnati is denying a heart transplant to 12-year-old Adeline, and here's the story.
Her father and I both feel strongly that the Holy Spirit is telling us don't put this vaccination in her body.
Adeline Deal is a happy 12-year-old girl from Batesville, Indiana.
I like to sing and I like to...
You like to swim?
Swim.
When you feel better, huh?
Yep.
But she's living with a serious heart condition.
She has Epstein's anomaly and she has Wolff-Parker syndrome.
Janine Deal and her husband adopted Adeline from China when she was 4, knowing that she would need a heart transplant someday.
I'm terrified for her. I mean, she's my child, and I want the best for her.
The Deals have done most of her care through Cincinnati Children's, but are now looking elsewhere after the hospital declined to put Adeline on the transplant list. The hospital requires patients to have both the flu and COVID vaccine, but the Deals have not vaccinated any of their 12 children due to their religion, which is non-denominational.
I called the child's advocate from Cincinnati Children's to see if they could help us with what a religious exemption and so forth. And he came back and said that they said they're not going to change the policy and this is what it is. And we are more than welcome to go find another hospital if we didn't like it.
Janine says she's frustrated because she says her daughter is healthy other than the heart condition. She says the situation gives her anxiety.
It's not right. It's, we don't believe in doing the vaccination part of it.
We reached out to Cincinnati Children's Hospital about the issue, and a spokesperson sent us this statement. At Cincinnati Children's, clinical decisions are guided by science, research, and best practices. We tailor care plans to each patient in collaboration with their family to ensure the safest, most effective treatment. The deals have made headlines the last few days and received some messages that give them hope in the situation.
Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh reached out, and we are looking into going there and seeing how insurance is and stuff like that. So it's a possibility.
They adopted this kid knowing she would need a heart transplant. I mean, these people are something. They have 12 kids.
I know, but that undue burden that they're putting on them.
And so
for that.
I hope HHS, incoming HHS Secretary RFK Jr. and the public health team are made aware of this story. Carol Markowitz is a columnist for the New York Post. She's the co-author of the book Stolen Youth, How Radicals Are Erasing Innocence and Indoctrinating a Generation. She's also the host of the eponymous Carol Markowitz Show on iHeartRadio. Carol, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hi, Dan and Amy. It's so nice to be on with you.
How about those COVIDians? Boy, you just can't. Yeah. We just can't put those COVIDians in our rearview mirror, can we?
It's crazy because the child's vaccine is something that really wasn't pushed outside of America. In Europe, they largely did not vaccinate children. A lot of countries didn't even order the children's vaccine. So this idea that kids who have a 0%, risk of a negative outcome from COVID will have a vaccine that lowers 0 to lower than 0 is just, it's not reasonable. And the fact that they're denying this girl a heart transplant because of it is just absurd in 2025.
Well, I think it's almost criminal what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, and then the mental anguish that they're putting that mother through and the child. But Dr. Rand Paul came forward, I think it was last week or the week before, and said not one healthy child in America died from COVID.
Yeah.
That more people died from the flu than from actual COVID.
That's right. And it's funny because they don't say that the girl hasn't had the flu vaccine. I don't know if she has or she hasn't, but it's telling that it's the COVID vaccine that the hospital is insisting that she get. And it's again, completely unreasonable, not in line with what went on around the world with children, not in line with what happened in Europe. None of this makes any sense. And it really is almost suspicious. Like, why do they need her to get the COVID vaccine so bad? We're in 2025. The pandemic is in the rear view. And again, it didn't really affect children, and they didn't need the vaccine in the first place. So why would she need it now?
These are COVIDian ideologues. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense here. And just the whole, I mean, she cites the mom going for religious exemption and respecting their freedom of conscience. But in addition to that, in addition to what you said, we also know that the threat of myocarditis, which is small, but it was greater in children than the threat of COVID.
Yes, that's right. And so they wouldn't make any kind of exceptions that myocarditis was particularly affecting teenage boys, and they didn't make any kind of exception for them, despite the fact knowing that their risk would be elevated. Again, none of it makes any scientific sense. It's not best practices like the hospital said. It's actually just a nonsensical policy that they refuse to back down from. And again, I'd love to know why.
Another ridiculous policy is lockdowns, e-learning from home. Reading scores are down, math scores are down, but what state got it right in going back to basics?
Well, Louisiana is doing a fantastic job. They are back to 2019 levels on their math test, which is something that a lot of states have not been able to accomplish. And they're doing it by going back to really what has worked in the past. You know, we blame COVID lockdowns for a lot of what went on in education, and I certainly have written, thousands and thousands of words on that. But the truth is that our education system was in collapse even before that because our schools kept adopting these educational fads and not focusing on basics. When we lived in Brooklyn, my kids marched against climate change. That was something that their school did. Or my kids marched for gun control, or they marched against hate. And the schools became just... They formed little activists instead of educating them, and it shows. It shows in the education results. They've had such a fall of over the last decade that it's hard to ignore that schools focused on things other than reading and math. So Louisiana is going back to basics. They're doing things like focusing on phonics. They're doing flashcards. They're having specific tutoring for kids who need it. And they're having transparency for the parents. So no parent is surprised at the end of the year when their kid can't read. They would know all along.
One thing, too, I want to get your reaction to with all this discussion about the Department of Education and its, what it will look like in the not too distant future. There's a lot of hysteria being drummed up by the teachers' unions and the wholly owned subsidiaries in Congress and in governors' mansions about things like Title I and IDEA funding. And I just can't say this enough because they're trying to exploit these kids that have learning disabilities for the purposes of protecting their fiefdoms. And we talked to Rick Hess over at American Enterprise Institute, and he said, look, that money's been allocated. So if it for some reason didn't flow through DOE, it would flow through HHS. So the funding for IDEA and Title I funding is not going anywhere. What they're really looking at DOGE, and this is not Rick, this is me, what they're really looking at DOGE is just the layers of bureaucracy, Department of Education, and the politicization of the DOE's work, just like in every other agency.
Exactly. The Department of Education has become a middleman where they don't really do anything. They just distribute funds. And we don't need that. We don't need this bureaucracy distributing funds and pushing their ideology. I think that that's really what the Department of Education has been doing. And this, again, idea that the kids aren't going to get services. They do get services. Most funding goes through the state anyway, and that's the way it should be. State should control where that funding goes. And, I'm a big proponent of school choice. I think that money that is allocated to the child should follow the child, even if they choose to leave public schools. So the Department of Education closing is not going to close down your local school. It's not going to have any effect like that. What it's going to do is save American taxpayers a lot of money on a boondoggle that has produced very few good results.
Carol Markowitz, columnist for the New York Post, co-author of Stolen Youth, How Radicals Are Erasing Innocence and Indoctrinating a Generation, and a host of the Carol Markowitz Show on iHeartRadio. Carol, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks.
Thank you. And she joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
While Dennis Prager is recuperating, we know you miss your daily dose of Dennis. That's why Pragertopia is giving you a special gift. Right now, Pragertopia members can hear the best 2 hours of Dennis's favorite segments from as far back as 2010. On Monday, you can hear the Happiness Hour.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what I'm about.
Tuesday is Celebrity Guest Day.
Donald Trump Jr. is in studio with me.
On Wednesday, it's the Male-Female Hour.
I really do wish there were a way to ascertain the number of marriages that this hour has helped.
Thursday, the Ultimate Issues Hour.
Not having ultimate issues clarity is like having a map, but you don't know where you're going.
And Friday is Open Lines.
Feel free to ask me anything about me, about you, about life.
So if you're missing your daily dose of Dennis, go to Pragertopia.com and hear all your favorite segments, along with lectures, celebrity interviews, his famous Torah teachings, and more. Get your daily dose of Dennis at Pragertopia.com. Pragertopia.com.
All right, I just did it, and it feels so good. I'm talking about taking my Balance of Nature fruits and veggie supplement, 6 capsules with that. You're providing your body, mind, and heart and soul with several servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables. You'll love it, and your body, mind, and heart will thank you for it because you have to admit you're not getting enough fruits and veggies on your own. If you eat an apple a day, just not enough, or a banana a day, not enough. Where it's at is Balance of Nature. The number to call is 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago. Save 35% off your first set and free shipping when you sign up as a new preferred customer. 800-246-8751. Call now or order online at balanceofnature.com. Coupon code Chicago.
Does pain in your life impact everything you do, like walking, climbing stairs, even getting out of your car? You don't have to live like this. Hey, Amy Jacobson here with a solution. Joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back due to arthritis or an injury can be eliminated. How? Well, with the help from our good friends at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics regenerative treatments are sweeping the nation. Everyone's talking about it. And they're right here in Chicago under the guidance of medical director Dr. Ashley Caravelli. Here's how it works. QC Kinetics treatments prompt your body to heal and restore damaged joints. Joint pain doesn't get better with time. See if you're a candidate for these life-changing treatments. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation and tell them Amy Jacobson sent you. Saturday appointments available. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
Would you go to court without a lawyer when the other guy is lawyered up? Or are you going to go it alone and learn law and procedure as you go? When you have an insurance claim for your home or business, it's the same thing.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company.
Insurance companies will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them. Not you.
If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%, and we could do the same for you. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
There is a place in northern Illinois that people have come from all around the globe seeking treasure.
It's amazing. I didn't know what to expect, but when I got there, I was surrounded by all kinds of gold and silver.
An actual place where you're surrounded by treasure?
I've known that gold and silver were a good investment, but I really didn't want to buy it through the mail. At Fox Valley Coins, I basically walked in, picked out what I wanted, paid cash, and walked out with gold and silver.
Walk in with paper and walk out with actual gold and silver bars. For decades, Fox Valley Coins has traded paper dollars for actual gold and silver. They buy and sell. The treasure map is available at foxvalleycoins.com. They are on Route 59, 1 light north of I-88 in Naperville, Illinois. Again, for info and the map, seek foxvalleycoins.com.
You know, you're really not stuck, really. People think when it comes to paying for health care, they just have to kind of go along with the way it is, no matter how frustrated they are with it. But it's not true. MediShare has been a huge help to people for 30 years now. And more these days, especially, people are realizing what a great alternative it is. And the difference isn't just the savings, which are huge. It's the whole thing. You're a part of something good. It's a community of people who care for and pray for and encourage each other. You don't have to pay for things you don't believe in either. You're actually sharing. And yeah, back to the savings, often up to $500 a month with MediShare. The customer service is refreshing too because they're for you. It's just a different way. And even though you might feel stuck with the frustrating status quo, it's not so. You can call them now and start saving and feeling better about how you're doing it too. Here's the number. It's 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41-BIBLE.
AM 560. The Answer.
Dan and Amy, this is wild. So, Pat Mahomes Sr. and John Rocker, former Braves reliever, almost got into a fight in New Orleans on Bourbon Street. Apparently, Rocker made some kind of joke, and Pat Mahomes Sr., who, of course, was a professional baseball player, too,
right,
didn't appreciate it, and so they squared off and almost got into a fight. Then it went to social media, of course. Rocker, who known provocateur, you may remember his commentary in the New York City subway system and its riders. John Rocker posting, "This effing loser can't take a jam joke. Wish I laid him out right there and ruined his something weekend even more." Pat Mahomes Sr. responding, "John Rocker is a menace to society," to which John Rocker responded, very much like a Democrat member of Congress, "F Patrick Mahomes."
Oh, my gosh.
So now these two are actually going to fight.
What?
There's an April 19th fight that is being sponsored by Barstool Sports, their Rough and Rowdy series, where Pat Mahomes Sr. and John Rocker, who are both in their 50s, are going to fight.
It's like the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight, but maybe bigger.
Well, neither one of these is of these gentlemen are professional fighters. Can't they just go out
Can't
to
they
the
arm
mound?
wrestle? No,
Can't they go out to the mound and just see who's got the better fastball in their 50s? I mean, I don't want to see these two fight.
Or arm wrestle. I mean, is his son supporting this, or is he like, Dad, come on, why are you embarrassing me in front of my friends again?
I don't know that he's been asked about it. I'd love to hear what the joke that John Rocker told Pat Mahomes Sr. that got him so upset. But yeah, there's video. Barstool Sports posted of them squaring off on Bourbon Street and getting broken up, and now they're taking it they're going to settle it in the ring. I mean,
oh my God, it's so embarrassing. Well, wait, who do you think would win, Dan?
I don't know.
Knowing what you know about Rocker and
Rocker looks like he can still pack a punch, but I don't know. They're both professional athletes. I don't know. I assume there's going to be a lot of haymakers, and about 90 seconds in, they're both going to have punched themselves out. I wonder who the undercard will be.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
where's the fight taking place too? I mean, we might need a bigger venue.
Well, it's going to be broadcast, I guess, on Barstool Sports, their Rough and Rowdy series. So, yeah, you look for that. April 19th, John Rocker and Pat Mahomes Sr.
What a way to celebrate my wedding anniversary.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, take the wife.
That's right. All right, score some tickets, bring some flowers.
All right, see ya.
All right. Thanks so much to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. Now here is Mike Scott.
A Downers Grove man charged with threatening a state representative. Lawmakers in Indiana advance a bill to lure the bears. Bulls